Hello and welcome back to the Arcane Games and Events July Open. I'm here joined by Michael again.
Good to see you, everyone.
We have our top 8 coming up soon. Just a quick recap on who has made it into this top 8 cut. We have leading the pack here, Peter Buddensiek on Zen, Tamer of Purpose, the argued best deck in format still.
Everyone, seems like it's still true.
Andrew Rudin facing him in a rematch from Swiss on New Alluring Desire. We've got young Colin on Kassai of the Golden Sand, as always.
Yep, absolute Kassai stan. That guy loves the deck, loves the hero. Thinks that she's A tier at least. So all your tier lists might be wrong out there.
He's definitely the expert of the hero.
Oh, he's so good at Kassai.
Evan on Kayo, Armed and Dangerous, thinking that the one-armed brute is underrated and is eager to prove his prowess with him. Eugene Galipchak on Kano, Drakai of Aether, the Kano expert of San Diego.
Yep, up against Grant Strom in 5th place. This should be a tough matchup for Kano, but I'm hoping to see Kano in the semis. I love Kano.
Also 2 San Diego locals, unfortunately met in the top 8 to fight each other. And now, Zach Wallach on Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry, against Richard Trong on Zen Tamer of... pardon me, not Zen Tamer, but he's on Dorinthia.
Yeah, that's
That.
right.
This is another rematch from Swiss.
Wrong graphic, maybe.
Off camera.
Yeah.
We also have much to talk about with the Players' Championship coming up soon, in addition to the Battle Hardened at San Diego, taking place the weekend of August 24th, followed by the PTI ProQuest Plus for Arcane Games and Events, the August Open on Sunday the 25th.
Way to nail that month.
We won't talk about that little
and
mishap. Don't worry
remember,
about
make
it.
sure to get your tickets. I know we've been parodying this a lot, but they do sell out fast. And if you want to get a seat, you want to get them before they sell out.
Absolutely, because we will sell out. Mark my words. So just a metagame breakdown as well. At the start of the day, we had 5 new, the most popular hero, most represented.
And 2 made it in, so it seems like a good choice for today's meta.
That's a conversion of 40%.
Yeah,
in
pretty
my
good.
Calculation.
Riptide at 4, not quite the same conversion with a 0%.
No, but quite a good representation.
Yeah, we did have a Riptide get 9th and bubble out. Talon Stradley,
Yeah,
of course, the resident Riptide professional. Not quite making it into the top cut.
Yeah, he was fighting out for tiebreakers with Andrew Rudin, so unfortunately bubbled at 9th.
Yeah.
Followed by 4 Zen, 3 Azalea, 3 Kayo, one of which is Evan making it into the top 8, 2 Enigma. So a 50% conversion rate, thanks to Zach.
Pretty darn good. 50% on Kano as well.
Exactly, with Eugene.
One of the 2. And then looking at the bottom, the best conversion we have here is Kassai at 100%. Incredible. S tier.
Well done, Colin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at the standings. We have, this is not updated yet for this tournament, but this is where the players stand as they came into today's battle. At the top, we've got Christopher Ayali looking like a shoe-in for the top 16 match coming up, not next month, but in 2 months from now. We have Charles Dunn, Talon Stradley, Alan Huang, all sitting pretty. And we can see a steep drop-off there as 5th place Ryan Brown at 56, probably still going to make it. But as we get down lower and lower, we can see some of these 40s getting down into the 30s. These are the ones that are going to need to make sure that they perform well in these last couple Arcane events if they want to make it into the final AGE tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a scrape for everybody below that line.
And so we have our game starting fairly soon. I'm not sure if the players are set up just yet, but we do have a game coming up. We mentioned that Andrew Rudin versus Peter Buddensiek on Zen versus New, the rematch from Swiss. Looking forward to that match as the players look to be set up and ready to go.
Yeah, Andrew.
Sitting in the same seats as well.
Hopefully a different fate for Andrew versus Peter after the Swiss game. Didn't quite go his way.
Yeah.
Made it to top 8 regardless. To sit down from Peter once again, unfortunately.
And we've got, looks like Peter choosing to go second, having the first seed here. Oh, no, going first, excuse me. Huh. Is that?
No,
I'm sorry. Andrew already went. We missed just the beginning
yeah,
of the game.
Andrew already has an Arsenal, so he went first.
Good call there. As we see Blue 100 wins to kick us off, followed by an Art of War choosing +2.
Enlightened Strike.
Thank you. Enlightened Strike. We're getting late in the day,
It's
folks.
been a long
It's going to be
day.
a little
Don't worry
foggy in the
about
brain. I'm going to need help from my
Blocking an
co-caster
Enlightened
here.
Strike with an Enlightened Strike.
Yeah. The Clash of Titans there on the board. Taking 4, ending the turn as Peter draws back up.
Andrew starts off with
The
Surgical.
Yep, Surgical Extraction. This will banish cards from Peter's hand. If it connects, 4 damage is a breakpoint that can make that quite annoying to block.
We'll also take 1 off the top of the library if it connects as well.
Yeah. All those banishes do matter as New's hero ability allows New to play blue cards from the banish, and Peter
says,
not really liking the hand.
I've got 3 reds to hand over to you.
Ooh, and we
Pass
have
over.
a Transcend card. This is actually a pretty big play from Andrew, basically just stripping the final card from Peter's hand. Getting full tempo.
That's pretty good. That's exactly what he wants.
Great start from Andrew.
And I think I spied a reaction in his hand that he didn't spend. I think he had something like a Venomous Bite.
Okay.
Because it had the border for Mystic Assassin.
Yep. And we see the Scale Peeler coming out. That card tacked in specifically for Zen to prevent Zen from getting value from those equipment blocks. As we now see
Leave no witness.
coming in Not going to be able to use the armor here. Not that necessarily Peter would want to yet, as he just gives up the hand again.
Respecting some of these.
Yeah, I think that Zen can choose to play a slower game and fill that graveyard just to prep for the explosive turn, hoping for Andrew to maybe have a Runeblade moment where he draws all reactions and the tempo just shifts.
Yeah, you're right. Considering it's a contract card.
Yep.
Okay. Andrew will play an Oasis just to gain 1 life.
Yeah.
Seeing as he's not going to connect.
Yep. Using all the cards in his hand.
1.
Peter emphatically throwing the Be Like Water blue.
Massive respect with a sink below.
And he shows the Transcend card from Arsenal.
Targets. Transcend. Gain a resource.
Choosing the Leave No Witness. I really like that target, preventing the potential Codex play.
Yeah. Peter gets to Transcend here.
Wow. It's actually a surprising play coming off of a blue 1 cost, actually.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it.
Yeah.
But knowing the Mystic Heroes, they can pull something out like that.
Choosing the Tiger Swipe.
1.
Boosted by the Shuko.
Yep.
Because if Peter folded with a lot of cards, he's still sitting at 39 life, so he's got a lot to like pivot with and use as a resource in itself.
Yeah, this is like a surprisingly good 2-card hand. Kind of threw me for a loop there. As that Tiger Swipe comes down, presenting a breakpoint.
Make a tiger.
Andrew already used the sink below.
Yeah, perhaps he's
Wishing
feeling like
he had that
yeah,
still.
perhaps being a bit too hasty to get value and fix a hand.
That's what's so interesting about this turn. I think, you know, Peter like concealing a lot of information with that
Transcended.
1. You know, throwing it down as if it was nothing, and then suddenly popping off with a Tiger Swipe on the back end. Really smart play, and honestly, like smart emoting from him, really bluffing that he had nothing afterwards.
Yeah.
No blocks.
Andrew coming in for 7, and Peter,
Ooh.
no blocks you thought.
Okay,
In response, homage.
Okay. Yep. Just emptying the blue from his hand so that Andrew can't pull it and steal that 1 life away.
33.
Evening the life total here.
Yep. 6.
We see a fairly inefficient turn from Peter, but doesn't seem like he minds too much. As long as he can kind of keep parity, he's going to be in a really good spot for a big explosive turn to just take the tempo.
It's still presenting damage and, threatening a card from Andrew as well.
Yep.
Caught with a sink below in hand.
Yeah, that's rough. CNC is such a good card into decks that want to play defensive.
Command & Conquer remains like one of the greatest staples we've seen for a generic, for good reason.
With Codex of Frailty rivaling it in price, maybe just below, but also another massively important staple in the game of Flesh and Blood at the moment.
Just see here, Andrew thinking over his blocks.
Trigger.
Says nothing. Bye-bye, Fang Strike.
Yeah.
Venomous Bite.
Wants to keep the tempo, doesn't want to give up 2 of the cards in his hand that aren't D-reacts and be left with nothing to swing back with.
Take 1.
If he gave both the 3 blocks he currently has in hand, he'd be left with a Chi and a defense reaction.
Yeah, no, not a good hand. So Andrew just taking a hit, losing the Arsenal, unfortunately, but he still has a reaction. Is able to pump that up to
24.
8.
Not bad.
I'll do the hard one for you.
Banishing a Transcend card.
That might prove helpful.
Yeah. If he can keep Peter off of those Transcend cards. He already has Transcended 1, so the helmet is online. As we see him come out, the Descendant Gust Wave. Snap blocked.
Yep.
2.
No blocks.
23. 1. I was counting this as a shoot go. Sorry.
Okay.
22. thought my weapon counter was Shugo for a second. 5.
These players just know their decks so well, the way that they just fly through these decision trees. It's quite amazing to me. Playing it as if it was the only play they could choose.
Winds of Eternity actually threatening a annoying breakpoint of 5 here, boosted by Shuko.
Yeah. Andrew, not wanting to allow the return of those 100 wins to the deck, decides to full block it. Probably a good time to use the Battle Worn on his gloves, seeing as you'll lose that value if you pop them before you've blocked with them. So
Very true, very true.
you want to use those early to make available that reaction. The players sit fairly even in life, which from what we've seen tends to favor the Zen unless Andrew Rudin can come out with a strong string of disruption to hold the tempo.
Andrew thought over what to sink, to pocket the defense reaction in Fate, or to get the stealth card, actually.
Yeah, it looks like he just went in for 7, was that?
Yeah.
Easy snap, no blocks from Peter. Looks like he's pretty happy with his hand.
She's going crazy out there, bro. A little kind of freaky with it.
Players having a good time, having a laugh.
They're fucking gaming.
Gaming indeed.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
It's good commentary.
Descendant Gust Wave.
Yeah.
3, go again.
It's always scary to see that come out, especially when it's followed by
Natural bonds.
And Peter has such a diverse graveyard at the moment. He can pick almost anything he wants to in the deck. Goes for the Winds. I'm sorry, is that Winds of Eternity?
Yeah, that's Winds of Eternity.
Goes for the Winds of Eternity. So we expect to see some 100 wins here as he decides to search those up.
I mean, quite honestly, this is just like a natural bonds line in Katsu, quite honestly.
Yeah, we can kind of see the Zen leaning a little bit more to the Katsu lines. Of course, you know, with the Tiger Spice sprinkled in.
Yeah, Winds of Eternity is a good one because it's a 3-block blue, it's a 0.
Oh, okay. 16?
Does everything you want in a blue. And
historically good for Kodachis, but also, like, the deck was already running 100 wins in both blue and red, so this is a good slot in.
Yeah. It's a good turn here from Peter, but no Art of War means it's not too much. And that's really, I think, what Peter is waiting to see is those Art of War pop-off turns. He hasn't seen any just yet.
I mean, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I saw the Ancestral Harmony there.
But here we've got some disruption. Absolutely the type of card that Andrew needs with 1 floating in a blue, hoping, at least feigning, a big attack reaction.
I think
here.
that was a Chi card. I think that was,
Okay.
I think Pathwell Traveled.
So at the very least, he's going to, you know, he's going to strip some cards here. Just, we're not exactly sure what fashion if Peter decides to let it hit and get the natural strip or blocks it out and tries to wait for that Art of War.
The other thing to consider and just put as a relevant point in this matchup is actually Peter banished Winds of Eternity, which is a blue, to tutor to bonds. So he's put a blue in his own banish zone.
Yeah. One of the better blues. There's not a lot of good targets for new in the Zen deck just because his blues are so low attack value. Tends to be the synergies that you get a lot of value out of them with. But
if you were paying close attention, actually, the preserved tradition that Andrew did earlier, he targeted the only blue that was currently in Peter's graveyard, and he took 100 wins.
Okay, so he is setting up a little bit of a combo there.
Just a little.
One of the ways that New can go over the top and push more damage than you might expect out of an assassin.
Interesting.
Looks like Peter's really thinking hard about this. Would love to keep the hand. I think he likes what he's got, and so he's put into a bit of a tough spot here, knowing that he has to give something up, just trying to figure out if he wants to decide or if he's going to give that over to Andrew to choose for him.
Andrew hasn't presented too much information by just sending the contract card.
Yeah, I love
the dagger.
The one floating here. You can see that's what Peter's probably mulling over. If that is a reaction that costs 1, Peter has the potential to get blown out.
Yeah, it could be stilettos for Codex. It could be Leave No Witness at the end. It could just be for a rousing wave and pocket an arsenal. Peter has to assess all of these options when considering blocks. Maybe a time for armor, actually.
Yeah.
I lose to so much.
No And you heard it right there, Peter. I lose to so much. So he's in a very tough spot. We'll see how he navigates this. Really, really important for him not to overcommit or undercommit.
He does have drop in the ocean, so as
Okay.
one defensive option, he can shrink it
Right.
at reaction speed.
Gonna go again. Transcend. Mass.
Then Andrew will activate Mask. The cool thing to know about this interaction, for people looking for the nuance in new, you can satisfy Contract by pitching to Mask and forcing the banish,
Yeah,
because Contract is still on the chain here.
it's a very good point. Potentially getting
2
some
silver.
silver out of this.
Or maybe even 3 if there's a blue
Yep.
on top.
And we see him banishing a blue, so that's at least 1 silver. Now Andrew is faced with a difficult decision of what to banish.
I think a good option could honestly be that 100 wins to add to his stack and portfolio of blue attacks to send later.
Yeah,
To transcend.
it's always that question of like what's more valuable,
Oh, it's banished. Yeah.
Top card of your deck.
now or later. Ah, that's fantastic. Andrew loves to see that Art of War get banished. Just get one out of the way. Mask does not work with Contract, so. And
A certain judge gave me faulty information. I might need to clarify that.
yeah, I'm not sure if Andrew has. I guess he should have 1 silver then, which I'm assuming is what that token is.
That's correct. Yeah, Newth Stealth Banish works with Contract.
Yeah. And we see just a 2 damage attack. So Peter on the back foot here at 13 life. Andrew's in a really good position.
I'm gonna pay 3. I'm gonna crack my silver. Draw.
Ooh, 2 reds and a tunic counter to draw a card. Bonds of Agony. Okay, that was
that 2 just
such
to
a
Nick?
good draw. Such a good draw. Having just a Nick in the hand means that he can activate this at a very, very high value if he pitches to one of his pieces of equipment.
I see. It's in the wording of making the opponent do the banish to. I see. Okay.
Look at that. Peter started this game off
See the
so
same card
confident.
To bonds. Are they individual? Are they individual, or are they the same? Like,
It just has to have the same name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's I can double check.
yeah.
I'm 90.
Just having a clarification with the judge.
He may be talking about the Art of Body and Mind cards because while they do seem to be in the rainbow printing,
That's true,
they don't
yes.
actually have the same name.
No, they do
so
not.
a very good question. I would assume that since it says with the same name that you would not be able to go and grab different colors of that card. But that's the only thing I can think of that question might have been pointed to.
One. Or no, I have no points. Sorry.
Yeah, because the name is specifically, they have art of whatever, and
Yeah.
then there's a colon that says mind, body, soul.
Yeah. Very tense moment.
For this, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nick,
okay,
pitch
okay.
to-
I was just like thinking. I was like, isn't copper 4? I was like, so silver's 3. Should be 4, 5. I want to bet.
Kassai in the background. Not quite making it to top 8. One of the few times we've seen him not get
I think
there.
he's looking over at the commander players and smirking. Or the rest of Team AGE told a funny joke.
Wow. Peter giving so much thought into this. He knows that this is a critical moment for him. If he makes the wrong decision here, this could be the end of the line for him in top 8.
Yeah, this is the turn to watch, quite honestly.
Yeah. The players have played very quickly up until this moment, using all of their time on these critical turns.
Peter still has access to all of his armor, so something to consider here. Rooting against Zen, TBH.
Yeah.
You are free to do that.
And we see the armor committed.
Traverse. Kassai. Stride, possibly.
putting 5 in front of it, not choosing to play around just a nick. Thinks that he
Yeah.
may not be able to get there if he gives too many cards from his hand, and there it is.
Peter will gain 2 cards in inverted commas.
Huge turn from Andrew, pumping that bonds all the way up to 10, which goes over 5 by quite a bit and does exactly the disrupting that he needs.
Gonna eat. Does this happen? Or how does this happen? Sorry.
Yeah, make sure to order that.
So middle of the top card.
I just get to choose.
I think you get to choose the order.
Yeah.
I'm sure they middle of the top card first, so you will have more information, right?
Peter giving a little bit of a hint
Sure.
as to the correct line.
100.
No
There's
duplicates,
the hand.
so he's only going to get 1 card. What will he choose?
Now, only one card from hand, but
Yeah.
more importantly, you can take the playset from
It's true.
the
it's
rest
true.
of the library and graveyard.
Yeah. And looking at this, he has a lot of ability to transcend. We don't know what's in the arsenal. This is a tough,
It is a hard choice.
yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I think they should be in there.
I think that's a reasonable one
Yeah.
because Harmony of the Hunt's going to produce another tiger,
Yeah.
which definitely helps Peter go wider, yeah.
One important thing to see here is, at least from what we see in the face-up cards, there are no combo cards in his hand at the moment. So he needs to have a very good arsenal in order to make this hand work. A single combo card on its own,
It's 3 chi,
Yeah.
a tiger, and an E-strike.
yeah, it's a bit of a clunker. One thing I've noticed though is good Zen players take what looks like absolutely nothing and turns it into tens of dozens of damage. Very impressive how these Zens know how to navigate these clunky hands. So we'll see what Peter can do with this 5-card hand, one of them being a Chi, another being a Tiger, and then 2 Transcend cards. Seems really, really difficult to get anything meaningful done with this. I expect to see him go into the tank as he figures out his lines here.
Perhaps like an empty fridge on a Friday night. You can cook up something Michelin star worthy out of nothing. Possibly.
Starting
Yeah,
with the
pitching to Zen.
banish. Yep.
Add another tiger to that collection.
Big hand. Wonder what he's searching. Probably chase the tail, if I had to guess. He's already got the
Yeah,
tigers.
it's a good one, yeah, because he has 2 in hand already. And then they're going to get good value because you have the resources available to Kakara and make use of Shuko.
Right. We see him casting spells, thinking about his turn.
Peter
It's
Trying re-
Leviosa.
Leviosa, not Leviosa. Doing his best wizard impression.
And he
Despite
goes
piloting
for
Zen
this-
right now.
Yeah, goes for the spinning wheel kick. So goes to show you what I know about Zen.
I didn't know wizards could wheel kick.
I'm so curious to see how he plays this out. Is this just going to be the most surprising explosive turn, or is it going to fizzle out into nothingness? 2 Transcend cards still in hand as he plays them both out.
Yep. So boost this tiger to a 1. Take a little shuffle.
Yep.
Transcend twice.
Yeah, why are you wasting your time?
Nothing else to spend that chi on this turn, so those are just resource cards.
Good 10.
This would be a great turn for something like a CNC, something expensive to
exactly.
get some value out of those.
Ding dong.
I think he's perfectly fine bottoming 1 to the E-strike somewhere
Oh
in this
yeah,
chain
absolutely.
as well.
That's a good point. So he can get use of one of them. What is that arsenal?
5. Shuko.
5, huh?
At least Andrew's hand does block. I don't see any chi in there.
Yeah. Curious if he gives 2 cards to this.
Or perhaps mask, finally.
he does need to hold on to some tempo to close this game out. You do not want to let Zen dawdle around it being alive.
Yeah, he was really riding on Bonds of Agony, doing quite a bit. It did some,
Right.
but Peter definitely put armor in front to
Yeah.
lessen the blow and gain cards.
Yeah, he
on
got to fill
defense.
that hand up, which is really, really important when being presented with a double discard or banish.
There we go. Tiger Swipe is fully covered by Mask and a
Yeah.
blue Infect.
Good play
Kakara
there.
for 2.
I was curious if Andrew thought that maybe he needed Mask to close the game out.
No, there's tigers I don't know.
But he decides his life is more important. And even blocks the Tiger
My tunic for a Tiger.
with no counters. I think he's just saying there's no way this game goes 3 more turns. Get the value now from the Tiger that's coming in for 1. It's like he's
'Cause he knows that E-Strike can possibly come in for 7
giving
and
up
bite
a
him.
blue hiss. Is that blue?
I think that's a red, actually.
Red. Interesting.
Just a foil.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. This is
And I think
still a very close game. Oh, yeah, and there's...
there
the
is 7,
E-strike.
Mr.
See,
Rudin.
this is still a very powerful turn. Of course, you expect that off of the back of giving up all the equipment. All things considered, not a powerful turn at all. As Andrew is able to survive what is normally the lethal blow from Zen. But gives up so much of his hand in order to do so. He really needs Peter to brick a little bit on this next turn in order to get the tempo back. Because 8 life is a lot to work with when you only have 1 card in hand.
I mean, considering the amount of blues that we saw in Peter's hand, this arguably looked like a brick, but, you know, from just 1 generic and a couple other combo pieces,
Yeah.
a decent enough turn was mounted.
And that's what we see from Zen, just turning these clunker hands into really impressive wide turns.
I'll block 6.
And he gives the whole hand. So Andrew banking on a brick.
Yeah.
Peter not being able to strip anything on the coming turn. 4-card hand not nearly as threatening, especially without any of the armor to back it up. We'll have to see what he draws.
I mean, there is a slight element of fatigue
That
to
looks like
running
a really
out.
good hand to me.
Yeah, there's an Ancestral Harmony.
Yep.
Gonna rip it.
Easy
See what
start.
we do.
Does he hit?
No.
Does not. Lucky break from Andrew.
Still gonna boost everything that's combo by
Yeah.
1 this turn.
Yeah. Even not hitting that card has a ton of value. Coming in with the Kakara for 2.
No blocks. 4.
Andrew going to 4.
4.
There's the Descendant Gust Wave.
Mm.
Combo card getting buffed by the Ancestral Harmony.
Don't think Andrew is fielding that Bonds of Agony in hand.
Yeah.
It's going to be block or it's going to be pitch in this next turn.
And Andrew is just praying, for no Bonds of Ancestry here. Andrew has a pretty good hand. Would love to not have to block in this spot, but obviously at 4 life, you don't have a choice anymore.
You would have loved that weakest link a bit earlier.
That would have been phenomenal on that turn that he had previously. Here we have Andrew going into the
Get
tank.
over, take 1.
100 wins blue. Not the most threatening thing ever. Andrew very happy to see the chain end like that.
I think he's okay
Yeah.
with that because gaining 1 more card and going to 1 is really bad.
Lucas Link.
Sending that weakest link.
There's an Art of War in that hand, I believe.
He blocked with a Bonds of Agony, right?
Is that the Jade Tiger Domain? Yeah, so there's 2 non-blocks in this hand. This might be
And he can't.
might be what Andrew needs.
Yeah, this is Peter not happy.
Because the only way to feasibly dodge this discard and deny the arsenal that Andrew's looking for as a result is to give the 2/3 blocks that you have in hand.
Yep. Really good timing on the weakest link with that texture, the hand texture that Peter Buddensiek is showing us.
I On the edge of my seat in this game.
Yeah, much
Very,
closer than
very different
previous.
from the one we saw in Swiss.
Andrew looking happy.
Kakara for
Big
2.
swing in the tempo here. And he has the option, it looks like, to
Andrew risks
go to
it for
one
the
if he
biscuit.
wants
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a tough call to be in this position. 8 life still, but man, a 4-card hand. It looks like he has the bonds. Does he have a reaction to back it up?
I
He has
don't.
the codex as well.
I think he has a chi there.
Wow.
He has codex, and I think that's a fate for scene.
Let's see if we can see.
Bonds of Agony, codex for frailty. I think that's homage to ancestors. And
Yep, and the
fate for scene.
yep. Yeah, that's right.
A little bit of an odd hand to work with when you want to seal a game away, but
I think he's just trying to figure out if Peter wants to use that last card to attack or if he's going for
Yeah,
Arsenal. And he
yeah.
goes for Arsenal. Andrew making a very bold but correct choice to take the damage and go to 1. Now he's got full tempo, 4-card hand. Peter Buddensiek has some life to work with, but not a lot. See how Andrew pilots this.
I think he's definitely looking to transcend regardless, because then he can use all of those blues.
That's right, and he has been
earlier.
setting up the banish zone too.
Because he can at least send 100 wins, Winds of Eternity. Annoying little bits of damage that cost Peter cards
Yeah,
from sending his own cards at him.
not quite as annoying when he's sitting at 8 life, but annoying nonetheless. Andrew needs to take time to think about the best way to play this out. This is a very, very important turn for him. Sitting at 1 life, we've got a crowd forming around them.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that go into this turn, because he still has his stilettos up, so he can actually use codex to his advantage. It won't pull a card away from Peter because he secured an arsenal, but
The frailty can be quite meaningful,
yeah, frailty can be.
as can the ponder.
He still has to give a whole card to Kakara and Tigers regardless.
Half the transcend cards in my deck currently.
If I play this combo, does this go back into my deck or his deck?
Can I see the?
Can I gain ninja cards, Mr. Judge?
Yeah, you get to keep them after the game. They're yours now.
Peter flies home with, like, cards missing.
I've heard of money drafting, but not money banishing.
It's interesting.
It's fascinating.
A lot of options for Andrew to consider.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the kind of turn that New... It's so hard to know exactly what New has in hand. So New has the ability to bluff like no other hero in this game, aside from perhaps Dorinthia and maybe Azuri. But, you know, whatever it is that you put in front of them, if you just put 1 card and hide 3, it can be so, so difficult to know what the correct line is to block out. And I think Andrew just wants to make sure that whatever he presents is both difficult to block and meaningful no matter what Peter decides to do. Still has the stilettos for go again, which is really, really important, as well as being able to turn on the Bonds of Agony.
Yeah. The only unfortunate part is that if he transcends, he does not have access to Mask because he already blocked with it.
Yep. And that's exactly the kind of, well, the reason I was a little bit hesitant to see him block with it. Of course, him being at 1, it seems objectively correct at this point, because otherwise he'd be dead. But it's tough to give that mask up.
This is him presenting as little information to
Yeah.
Peter as possible to goad him into blocks. See what he can give him.
I do really like this. We know that he has potential go again, and Peter gives up
He
5
respects 5, yeah, including his Shuko.
Play homage, gain a life.
gaining life.
He will transcend, puts a blue into his hand. Oh, gaining 1 could
Very
definitely
meaningful.
swing this, actually.
Sure he wishes that defense react was an offense react.
And an offensive reaction. I don't
Yeah.
like seeing it.
I'm expecting the stilettos here.
Peter holding some blues. But there are a bunch of 2 blocks.
Looking through the graveyard again. So much to consider. Such an important turn.
Andrew still needs to secure his action point right now.
Practice.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Goes for the chi. So now unable to transcend.
Yeah. Or activate a news ability, yeah.
Right, yeah, excuse me. Already transcended, but cannot use the new ability with the chi.
2 floating. Makes me think he's going to field something with Codex.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if he chooses to play it now and break the chain, he'll have to discard his fate.
Yeah, it's tough. You really want to get as much of that value from the Codex as possible by not discarding a card from hand, but he decides to go for it.
I think it might be worth it. I think the pick is Command and Conquer,
I think so too.
because he's seen a lot of the Transcend cards pitched away and taken.
He's already
So
taken, yeah, 1 card from
He'd
Peter's hand.
yeah, he'd rather take that arsenal that Peter was eager to hold on to and just swing Kakara.
Was it an Artivore that he
It was,
arsenaled?
yeah.
So that's a huge hit if he can get it.
And there we go. Fate for Scene is discarded. Command and Conquer is chosen. Andrew will ponder, which is very important actually at this lower life total.
So looking back in hindsight, Peter did overcommit a little bit on that bonds, which is important to do. You can't just allow yourself to lose, but that's the bluff power that New has to threaten. I mean, that 2 power attack came in for 5 value.
Yeah. Defensive Art of War.
Wow, you don't see that every day.
Buff Banish.
And what this does is it allows Peter to potentially say no blocks and have a 3-card hand.
Okay.
Ponder. Arsenal pass.
That's it. Peter taking no damage. Andrew sitting at 2 life. 3 cards in hand from Peter.
1.
And this is, it's not quite Kodachi lock, but
Say no blocks.
these tiny pings are meaningful at this stage in the game. Oh, excuse me, he took a lot of damage. Down to 2.
He just didn't want to lose the Art of War.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. He can't afford to block there and lose the
Ooh.
tempo. I misspoke.
This Tiger will come in for 1 though. I have to wonder what the arsenal was that Andrew secured.
He's going to sink below here. No sink.
Dario Vey. There are blue go-agains in Peter's Banish Zone.
Yeah. I'm very curious what this arsenal is from Andrew. Man, we are to the wire here. Oh,
Command
wow.
and Conquer.
Codex of Frailty being a 2-pitch is massive here.
So
As we see another Art of War in
Peter
Peter's
still needs
hand.
to give 2 cards to this.
Yeah,
This
these
is
Art
so
of Wars are
tense.
pretty useless when you have to give up half your hand just to not die.
Basically, yeah.
So much of the value of Zen comes from keeping a full hand, and when you're sitting at such a low life lead, every single card is basically a hand disruption.
Isn't it just typical that we found the closer game of this rematch in the finals,
Yeah.
in quarters, and not in Swiss?
I'm on the edge of my seat here. I'm really glad to see Andrew make it in and be able to face Peter in the 1 seed versus 8 seed rematch. Wanting his redemption.
It's like some overtime play in a sport that you
Yeah.
get a CNC pondered after you sent the CNC from Codex.
Fortunately for Peter, he does have 2/3 blocks
This
in
is
hand.
not the greatest way to send bonds.
Bonds, 2-card 4. I heard that card was pretty good. What's going on here? I don't understand. What's the hype? They banned this?
It's also a 2-cost, so it can technically be pummeled if you really want.
Hey. That would be the spiciest Zen list I've ever heard of.
Unfortunately, as Andrew sits at 1, it's still going to buy 2 cards from
Yeah,
him.
yeah. These breakpoints are critical at this point in the game.
Yeah, because just a Kakara swing means Andrew gives just one card and moves on with his life.
Right.
So both players are just throwing the last dregs
Yeah.
of their power at each other
They're
to
vying
take
for
this.
that tempo. It looks like we've got 2-card block. And here we see the levels of enlightenment.
Okay, misplay
Misplayed.
for 1.
The blocks.
Oh, no blocks.
Snap, no blocks. And this is so big for Andrew.
Ooh.
Getting him down to 1 now. This is a break
Levels.
point that can draw a card.
4 and draw.
Massive, massive draw.
Oh no, Peter knows
Did we
it.
see what he drew? A blue. It's a 1 power, but that's meaningful at this stage in the game. And it can draw a card too if it hits a blue.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is huge from Andrew. It can even heal him.
Bench.
Takes 3 cards from his hand.
Move tab.
It's lucky.
Wow.
Peter can thank his lucky stars that he didn't have to give a blue to this.
And now we get to see Andrew get to function with a 3-card hand.
Okay, there's just a nick in that hand.
Tempo swinging in his favor, and it is so difficult to play against a new when you only have 1 life. The number of reactions that you have to play around to survive, it's
They
brutal.
block like this, and send
I think he knows.
Well, I would've
I think he
played
knows
that.
the line here. It's
Doing
it's dagger dagger,
Uh-huh.
weakest link,
Yeah, I mean, that's going to pull the whole hand no matter
or
what.
or it could even be weakest link, but you grain.
Is that the grain that tips the scale?
That is grain, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dagger dagger.
And there's
Link. That's GG.
well played,
Nothing
Andrew.
left in hand to block.
Fantastic
Well done, Andrew.
game. Amazing. Wow, the redemption.
The game was close.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
The game was insane.
Really close.
I won't repeat that, but I also share that sentiment, Andrew.
Yeah,
That was a nail biter.
sigh of relief coming out from Andrew Rudin. Well played to both players.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that solidifies his position into the semifinals. Still not sure what he will face on the other end of the bracket that also made it into the semis. We will find out at some point when the others. Okay.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here before we get Andrew in for the winner's interview before we move on to the semifinals. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Flesh and Blood coming up in just a minute.
Stay in that seat. back with this quarterfinals winner, Andrew Rudin. How you doing, mate?
Hello, I'm good. I'm a lot happier now.
That's
The
good to hear. That's
stress,
good to hear.
stress is all gone now.
Yeah, everyone was feeling the stress. You just told me before the interview started that you were feeling some of that stress in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a nail biter, like literally 1-to-1.
Yep.
You know, starting the, I mean, you know, you guys saw the first game we played, and he like destroyed me. I had so many, like first 3 turns were very bad, in terms of what I drew, and then this one is like a lot more back and forth. Yeah, I did not expect the game to be so tight because I was waiting for him to eventually have his explosive turn, but luckily he didn't. I was able to keep him off it at the very least.
Yeah, it was basically like the right tool at the right time. Sort of the things that were lacking in the Swiss game. So it was good that it clutched up here, and eventually, like, once you got those little inches, like, gaining 1 to homage was pretty big.
Yep.
Because you could take that Kakara for 1, because it was frailtied, stuff like that, and eventually secured, like, the awkward lines to make his life hard and, like, buy cards out of his hands so that he's got less to throw at you. Like, classic like, Fab fundamentals, but, like, still taking place 5 years in.
Yeah. Yeah, I only recently picked up this deck like about a couple days ago, so there was a lot bigger learning curve than I thought because I never played Assassin before this. In this matchup, I think the most powerful play you can do is surgical extraction and then transcend and then mask.
Yeah.
Like that, taking 2 cards, no matter what, is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, and any of those banishes looking further into your game plan of taking blues and using them against them, you didn't eventually have the space to do that because the Transcend card you needed just as resources.
Yeah.
Because the finisher was dagger into weakest link, and Peter was like, well, I've got a Chi and I've got a Transcend card. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was very, I mean, that was eventually coming up. And that, before that's what I was thinking about with the CNC play.
Yeah.
Or when I, what bonds go again, and then the CNC, because I wasn't sure. I knew he had 2 Art of Wars. I wasn't sure if he had the block for it. Because if I get, like, if I do anything else with the resources, like, or use them in a different way, or even use the Fate Foreseen, I thought it would have been easier to block anything else if I wasn't playing CNC.
Yeah.
I just needed something to close the life gap, so to me that mattered more, which means, you know, it was probably better to block with the Fate Foreseen on the Kakar, but I just didn't know if he had a follow-up. So
Yeah, you were basically operating with hidden information just as much as you were, like, sending attacks with hidden information back at him. Like, it was definitely a consideration. We were talking in the booth that considering how many of his Transcend cards were already at the bottom or just shuffled in, the likelihood of them being in hand for weakest link to matter after Codex is far less than if you compare CNC just, oh, if you don't give me 2-3 blocks or block 6 for me, I'm taking your arsenal, and it was Art of War, so we were speculating, like, please choose CNC.
yeah.
All right, we will revisit the bracket now. Andrew stands at the semi-finals. We'll face the winner between good old Colin, Eriksen, or Evan Bridges.
Okay.
Fight.
Both
Teammates.
Both AG teammates. I was hoping, or I played Colin earlier. Warriors generally favored. It feels into new.
Yeah.
Or at least the Kassai felt favored into new. I don't know about the other ones. I haven't played that matchup at all. So the first time I played it was in Swiss. I lost. It was like a fine, but until he raised an army, and it's just like there's no way you can come back from that because like it's just too much pressure. He's grinding out the game to where you're low enough to where it'll always like mess with you. So I'm hoping Evan the Kayo beats Colin on Kassai, and I think at the very least Kayo will be a better matchup for me. It'll probably be similar to the Zen matchup, but.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of, like, KO will run out of armor early on and cannot grind you out in the same way Kassai can with an endgame plan. So once they run out of armor and you've got Scale Peeler for it as well, they're kind of toast, and, like, you start taking cards out of their hand. They do less to you. You really take the tempo that way.
Yeah.
We've also got Eugene and Grant battling out against each other, the two San Diego locals and teammates. Unfortunately, only one of them can go to the semi-final, along with Zach Wallach, also part of Team AGE, and Richard Trurung on Dorinthia Ironsong.
I would expect Kano to be more favored into New, but I mean, New runs a lot of the go against stuff to try to be aggressive. So hoping that it makes it through, but Zach looks like he is able to take it against the Dorinthia. I mean, that makes sense. Like, even if Dorinthia kind of tries to go full aggro, it's naturally Enigma is going. The Enigma playing the cards is just will be able to defend itself and give itself extra life. So
yeah, the whole point is that Dory cannot connect with Dawnblade, so it makes her game plan incredibly hard to execute. And once you grind out the power cards from Dory fielding Dawnblade, like Enigma kind of like edges it out really easily.
Yeah,
and just sort of like sweeps the game with like Mirror Guy and stuff like that. But New can be proactive against Kano, and honestly, banishing sometimes when they don't Kano in response can bite them, because some of their power cards, like if you see like a Wildfire banished and you didn't do the banishing to Kano, that's gone. You can't access that anymore.
Yep.
So it can go either way, and like New has aggressive attack actions that can replenish the action points, like Hurl, just looking for a scrap, and like stilettos and stuff.
Yep.
So
E-strike
it's
is still in
anyone's
there.
games, yeah, exactly. E-strike 2 levels.
Yep. I think the biggest thing is like if you can catch them with like Bonds of Agony, and then force them to like, okay, I like have to do something. I would assume they just hero ability at that point, or just expend their hand, because you just can't afford to let Bonds of Agony connect with, especially with your power cards.
I mean, I suppose you can always, at the very least, pitch everything to Kano, even if you underpay with reds and yellows. But ultimately, you're still having damage connect, and like you're slowly losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We will recap on the Players' Championship standings. What everyone walked in the door with today, we have Chris Iarly neck and neck with Charles Dunn on points, but Chris edges it out with his tiebreakers recently.
That is my team edging right there.
Behind Charles is Talon Stradley. Sadly, bubbled out a 9th today, but a really strong performance, so he's going to maintain some point advantage and stay up within the top 8 of the championship standings. Mr. Luba, Alan Huang, will probably stay there too, and basically everyone that you see that's 50 points and above is fairly secure right now, but the other half of the top 16 are sort of fighting it out based on who gets like top 16s, top 8s in the next Open, which will take place in San Diego, which is a lovely transition to talking about the Battle Hardened at San Diego as well, taking place August 24th. And we've got $2,000 in prizing, along with both a PTI for the winner of the Battle Hardened and the runner-up, along with a legendary gold coal foil for the winner there, along with the last Open Series for the year for AGE, taking place on the Sunday on the 25th. That also has a PTI up for grabs and a gold coal foil for the winner, and just as much prize money scattered throughout the top 16, I believe.
To be clear, the legendary gold foil is for the Battle Hardened.
Yes,
and
it
then
is.
And then for the AGE, it's a common / majestic?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just like a ProQuest Plus.
Gotcha.
So, anything else you would like to mention to the lovely viewers at home before we go for a little bit? Any shout-outs? Anything at all?
Shout out. I'd love to shout out Team AGE. They are. I am a fellow agent, even though I'm not repping the shirt today. It's still in the laundry, but we're hoping to make some names for ourselves for the rest of the year in these big tournaments. Unfortunately, I will not be at Amsterdam, but I will be at Worlds, so hopefully we can punch our names there and continue forward.
Yeah, Osaka's definitely going to be interesting, considering that there'll be a local metagame there in Japan as well. So,
Yep. It's going to be big.
So a
Just wanna
decent
s-
representation of the agents at Amsterdam this Pro Tour coming up next weekend.
Yeah. Just want to say a shout out to Anthony Pham. He is in our top 16 for points for the Open Series, but he's camping right now, and it is like 100 degrees. He is sweating. Took us off. So to make sure get our points in. Hopefully shove them out. So
He needs the Honda pilot buff for himself this time, not the others, just himself, to secure that top spot as the reigning champion of the AGE Championship. It wasn't happening. We had to commit to the schedule on Saturday. All right, so without anything else, we are going to bid you goodbye for just a moment and be back with more top 8 games, so do not go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the semifinals of the July Arcane Games and Events Open Series. We've got one heck of a match up for you, where these 4 competitors are competing for a medal, some cash, and of course, that cold foil full art Arcane Lantern, which signifies only one thing. What is that, Michael?
That you won.
That's darn right and darn tootin'. The next match is 2 familiar faces from the Arcane Games and Events Open Circuit.
Yeah.
One, Eugene Galipchak on
Kano. We're having a Kano game, baby.
and of course, resident illusionist player Zachary Wallach from the AGE Pro Team on Enigma.
Yeah.
Michael, you've said that this matchup is actually fascinating.
I'm
Tell me
so
about
excited for this matchup. So Kano doesn't get to play a lot of traditional games of Flesh and Blood. It's a lot of like killing you in one turn.
Mhm.
But Enigma has the ward to prevent that, while Kano is highly incentivized to cast spells to prevent the damage that Enigma's trying to do. So what we get is one of the rare games of Flesh and Blood that Kano can play in a true back and forth tempo-based fashion. And I love this matchup. I've played it on the side of Kano, and it's really, really fun to be able to play things in a reactive way and, you know, be stuffing the attacks of the Enigma while also trying to maintain enough tempo to be chipping damage in. And while on the other side, the Enigma has a ton of ward to prevent these massive wildfire turns on top of having a ton of blues to support arcane barrier. So what we end up with is a really even tempo-based match. So not something we're really used to seeing Kanos get to participate in. So I'm very excited to see how this one plays out.
Well, you've absolutely sold me. Let's take a look at the player profiles of the 2 gentlemen that'll be facing off in front of us today. First up, we have Eugene Galipchak. Eugene is no stranger to the top 8s of the Arcane Games and Events Open Series, usually sporting Kano, so it's nothing unusual.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen him on anything else. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, seems like he's a
I don't think so either,
Kano-only
yeah.
kind of player. I wonder how excited he is about Rosetta. Maybe it'll be the first time we see him on a new wizard, or maybe he says, I'm a Kano main.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'll use the new tools to keep winning with Kano.
That seems to be like it might be an effective strategy, honestly. Eugene also, unfortunately, was the gentleman that knocked your brother out of contention.
Yep. He got that lucky top deck, which for a moment I was sad, but seeing Kano in the top 8 brings me so much joy. I love this
That's what it's
wizard
really all about, huh?
sneaking in these Aether Wildfires, pulling out top decks, winning games off of dice rolls and
Yeah.
hidden information.
Eugene, also a member of Humongous Games down in San Diego, the crew that we see to be we are expecting to see highly represented at the battle-hardened San Diego, as well as the following day Arcane Games and Events Open Series.
Yeah.
I
heard
really
you
excited
should
to see
get
how
your
they do it
tickets soon.
Yeah, I heard that too. Justin has said that we are close to selling out. Let's take a look at Mr. Zachary Wallach on the other side of the table. Zachary Wallach has been playing Illusionist since I can remember. He's been in the game longer than me, but he refuses to play any other class, even in limited formats. He has been a resident Enigma Forcer, famously in our last Open.
And did quite well.
Yeah,
the man
honestly.
knows how to play Illusionist. It's in his blood. It's in his soul.
And stubbornly went Enigma despite the fact that he was between 2 of them during that top 8 draft pod.
Absolutely.
Seems like he eats his ramen with chopsticks when he's at a restaurant, but fork at home since he can't be shamed there. This man is ashamed of the cutlery he uses.
Yeah, you got to be careful in a Japanese restaurant. Shame is deep in that culture.
Understandably so. I would absolutely shame him if I saw him eating it with a
I would
fork.
too.
Especially because how do you handle broth with a fork?
You don't.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
that's
why
the whole
you use
point, isn't it?
That's okay, Zachary.
You deserve to be shamed, Zach. Let's talk about this match. Players are preparing. Cuts are happening. We've got the beautiful blue versus red.
Yeah, this
on
is a
screen.
cool little screen we got here.
I'm all right with this.
Flames versus water
Yeah.
or moonlight.
Moon? Yeah, probably Moonlight.
Moonlight versus sun flame.
Moonlight versus sunlight. Which can
Wildfire.
burn you better?
Yeah.
Which type of radiation would you like to deal with?
And we just finished watching Eugene go through one heck of a matchup, racking his brain in a pitch stack battle and got there just barely
Yeah,
at the skin of his teeth.
Eugene is definitely not one of those KO players that lives and dies by RNG. He knows every single game plan that this deck can approach a game of Flesh and Blood through.
Yeah.
And he knows how to do it really well.
Yep. And I do also love his 1 graded Kano. I think he said he rubbed it on the pavement before he sent it in.
I'm just
Get
realizing
graded.
that that's a 1 grade.
Yeah. Very rare, actually, on the
That-
bottom end of the scale.
I feel like that's very much like an Alan Shavarin kind of move with his Levia cards. I love this. Eugene has so much character, and he's such a sweet guy. He's so much fun to play with. Like, he hits you for 40, and you thank him. He's that kind of guy.
Yep, and it looks like Eugene started the game off, Zachary choosing second as the higher seed in this matchup.
Do you think that's correct?
I don't know. I think it's very unimportant. I think this game will go the distance, and it doesn't make a whole lot of difference who goes first or second.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm noticing an interesting staff choice on the Kano side of things. What do you think of that
Absolutely.
Waning Moon?
Waning Moon is critical. So this is the weapon that's going to allow him to pop the auras as they're attacking him, which means that Zachary Wallach will hopefully be leaning towards attack actions, which Eugene will not be able to pop. And that will be his primary source of damage in this game, assuming he can't block out the Arcane Barrier while swinging at the same time.
Well, look like Zach says nuts to those attack actions. First and foremost, here comes a Waxing Spectre, which is going to get the +1 because he's pitched a blue. Let's see if he decides to swing it, though. Oh, this is all still happening.
Oh, yes. This is still Eugene's turn.
Eugene's
Oh,
turn.
we're going to have one of those games. A lot of instance on both sides. Going to be important to keep track of which player's turn it is as Eugene plays the Waning Moon off of the back of that Potion of Deja Vu, which allows him to activate it.
So Eugene says, yeah, sure, you can do stuff on my turn, but I'm going to try to snipe that stuff that you're doing on my turn. Zach, however, is presenting Arcane Barrier 3, so ostensibly he'll be able to protect this Waxing Spectre.
Yep.
At least for now.
Pitches a blue and covers that up well.
And Eugene no longer has any action points, so he is forced to just Arsenal and pass. The rest of that pitch going to Charity, and Zach is drawn up. That is a fully Enigma'd board if I have ever seen one. We got a cold foil Cosmo, we've got the full art Enigma, and the Enigma sleeves to boot.
Yeah.
What do you think the odds are that he has an Enigma playmat?
I bet he does.
Looking at the hand of Zachary Wallach, I feel like I see 2 Transcend cards, Rising Sun, Setting Moon, Homage to Ancestors. So we could get some chi generated really early.
Yeah, the more ward he can put on the board, the more he can protect his larger auras. If Eugene is able to put something out that does more than 3 arcane damage, Zachary does not have a hope of preventing the damage without some help from those spectral shields.
And they'll cover up those breakpoints incredibly nicely if Eugene can generate them.
And that is exactly what they're there for. So this is a fantastic start for Zachary. Just double transcend into what looks like either a reading of the Enigma hero power or a use of it. I haven't seen yet.
I believe it was a reading,
Okay.
because, Zach was only flipping it so that Eugene could see it.
Yep.
And now we are looking to bottom one of these cards off of Rising Sun, Setting Moon, which will generate another chi. And if Zach is finding this chi to be redundant, why not send that to the bottom?
Yeah.
Transcending, once again, like you mentioned, that beautiful flavor, ascending the card out of the sleeve,
Yeah.
turning it to the other side and putting it back in.
As the moon rises, as the moon sets.
It's all beautiful, as all things should be. Eugene giving a frowny face to the cards in his hand. Ostensibly not because he doesn't like them, but probably because he ate something weird for lunch. Surely not. Eugene strikes me as a very healthy, lean kind of guy. You need that to fuel the Kano fires, if you know what I mean.
Allows Zach to play on, and wow, early Miragai.
How does this impact this match, do you think?
Well, Eugene has a lot to get through, obviously. One of the tough things about having 2 ward on the table is you get to choose which one gets blown up. And swinging in for 8 here means Eugene has to either block or do a lot of damage to get through both of those wards. Knowing that Zach only has 1 card in hand and 2 float gives Eugene some information of a maximum of 5 Arcane Barrier, but that's still a huge ask. He needs to hit a good top deck here if he decides to go the route of Kano blind into shooting arcane damage, and that's exactly what he does.
Zach is a little bit shields down just because he doesn't have any of those really critical spectral shields to block out like the tiny zaps or the breakpoints that we were mentioning earlier. So depending on the last card in his hand, and we know it's not a chi to pitch to create a spectral shield, Eugene might be able to just send 2 spells here to get himself through both the Waxing Spectre and that Manifestations of Miragai.
Yeah.
Gaze the Ages is not a bad find.
It makes him overcommit here. I think he gave a little bit of a frown, and I think he's kind of thinking to himself, I really would have preferred a spell that does damage because I just kind of want a Waning Moon. And it looks like he does just cast the Gaze the Ages without doing another Kano. It could be that he has too many reds in hand, or it could be that he's made the decision that he can't afford to pitch 2 blues on the off chance that he hits another brick.
Critically, because Gaze the Ages won't go back to hand and be another resource card unless he's played another non-attack.
So Eugene just going for the opt here. And firing the Waning Moon. Yeah, and see, it's an all-red hand, so
Red flooded
really
as
not
you
what he wanted
foretold.
to see.
So Zach very easily covers that up with another blue pitch, which means that Eugene is facing down 8 from the Spectral Dragon. Herself. I don't know. Do you think it's a boy dragon, girl dragon?
I think that this dragon is probably transcended gender.
I think you're probably right. And so 8 it shall be.
Yeah, that's a rough start for Eugene. He's going to have his work cut out for him in order to get back into this game.
And furthermore, Zach now knows that shields are basically down on Eugene's side of the table. So here comes another 4. And Eugene already almost at half his starting life total.
Half his starting life total without cards in hand to threaten any more damage.
Zach giving his trademark evil cackle as Eugene contemplates the dilemma set before him. Tome of Aetherwind might be a get out of jail free card here.
Well, he really needs at least a blue to pitch into the Waning Moon.
Modes chosen are draw a card, draw a card. Let's see if Eugene will show us what he's got.
So he does have like a blue and a potion, but goes for the Kano first, which is
a snapback. That's not bad.
Yeah. He's got 5 damage showing here now.
This is the semifinals of the July AGE Open Series. These players have been duking it out all day, trying to fight their way to the top of this leaderboard. Both of these players, it's important to mention, are very comfortably sitting in the top 16 bracket and are currently contending for the Players' Championship. Eugene, I believe, is seated a little bit higher than Zach. So the points are less important in this match to both of these players, but we've got other prizes on the table.
That's right. That Cold Foil Arcane Lantern and the coveted July AGE Champion medal.
And don't you forget about 400 smackers.
Yep.
Snapback comes in. Zachary blocks it cleanly with a Transcend card, followed up by a Waning Moon for 2.
And one important thing to note here is that as Eugene sends these spells in, it's stripping blues from Zach's hand, which is exactly the card that he needs to fuel his offense, which is where this can end up in a really tricky spot. And look at that, 2 reds. So protecting his auras, but with only 1 card in hand, could be a blue, which would allow him to swing with both, or it could be another red, which would stuff a little bit of that damage. And it is a blue, which is good for him. He has a little bit floating for Arcane Barrier, but this is the moment for Eugene to top deck something meaningful this time and deal enough arcane damage to just blow both of those auras up before they can hit him.
8 damage coming in from the Manifestations of Miragai, which has 4 counters due to
Cindering Foresight is huge here.
So I'll opt 3. Yep.
Eugene opting off the top of the deck. His next source of arcane damage is going to be pumped by an additional 1. Surely he finds something he can use here, right, Michael? All 3 on top. Found everything he likes.
That's a great start. Yep.
Here comes the Kano one that could, starting off with the Tome of Fjendal.
Okay. So likely we found 2 blues and a red.
And so Eugene is going to draw the 2 blues that he saw off the Cindering Foresight, fuel some additional damage here. Going very resource positive with his pitch so far. And the third Tome of Fiendal is in the hand.
Yeah, he may want to stick that in Arsenal just to kind of claw a little bit of that life back.
He is really clumped. The two Reds he pitched earlier were Blazing Aethers as well. If
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
So now this is blind. None of this has been seen by Eugene before. These are blind Kanos.
Yeah.
Looks like a sap to me in the blue.
Mhm.
Sounds like Eugene said, crud.
Yeah, he would have really liked to see a red spell in this spot. He needs to be able to push enough damage to blow up both of these wards if he wants to stop this 8 damage coming in at him.
Come on, just like the old times. I know, right?
These players are having a lot of fun. They go way back. Both mainstays of the game since its early days. Eugene representing the grade 1 Kano that could.
No, I have to. Yeah, okay.
Eugene having a war of words with his own mind.
Yeah, you almost tricked me
Just
there.
wizard things.
Okay. 2. Come in here.
Here comes Sap for 2, critically pumped up by the Cindering Foresight that was played earlier.
And come in 4.
Zach, of course, cleanly covers that up with the additional 2 that were floating.
Yep.
Now we've hit the Waxing Spectre. Can Eugene find one more source of arcane damage?
Yeah.
All he needs is one.
Do it. Would you like to block smile? I don't want to use the Deja Vu potion on this.
Eugene remaining obstinate, not wanting to drink that potion in front of him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the card in his hand was red or blue.
I think if he's considering drinking the potion, then it must be blue, right? Because then he would ostensibly put the Tome of Fiendals on
Right,
top,
of course.
banish to Kano, and then draw
But
more.
the other option is just a blind Kano. Any spell at all will
I don't know.
kill this Mara guy.
And he has seen a lot of non-spells.
Yeah, I mean, man, if it hit a Kindle or something,
Yeah.
that could just...
Which at that point, I mean, at least he would be able to draw a card off the Kindle.
Well, he can't use the Kindle. It's an instant.
Okay.
Oh, that's a
Oh
brick.
my goodness, I keep forgetting that.
So
That
he
is a
does
brick.
use the potion, not deciding to risk it, rather gaining some more resources to cleanly be sure that he can get what he needs off the top here.
I think this makes a lot of sense because Zach wants to sport Arcane Barrier 3 into Eugene, he can't run that powerful piece of equipment, Traverse the Universe, which means the fact that he got this Manifestations of Mirror guy out with 4 counters on it was kind of a fluke.
Yeah.
And due to the fact that there was not a lot of pressure on him early in the game. Later on, that might not be the case.
Yeah.
So hopefully, once he deals with this Manifestations of Mirror guy, he's going to have a much easier time executing the game plan that you described earlier.
There's the second tome. And a lot of laughter.
These guys are having a blast. Despite the fact that it's been a super long day, they're 2 players that respect each other's skill and love the game so much. Let's take a look at the hand of Eugene. We found a
Red
Tome of
Is that a
Firebrand.
blue prognosticate?
Sorry, Tome of Aetherwind. That
Wow.
would be a blue prognosticate.
How did I do that? Pitches the tome and sees an Aether Wildfire, shaking his head a little bit just because it's kind of a waste.
It's a little
here,
too
but
much
you
too
know what?
early.
In this case, it's a block 8. And
Exactly.
I think he's happy to do that at the very least. Clearing up Zach's board, which was quite big.
It was significant, that's for sure. I think Eugene is doing the very safe and smart thing in clearing that board, even though it felt like it utilized a lot of resources. I mean, he had like 6 cards in his pitch zone and did 0 damage.
But Eugene has now stabilized a little bit. Still on the back foot in terms of tempo, but Zachary is going to have to rebuild the board in order to push any more damage.
Seeing a Shimmers of Silver in Zach's hand, probably not the card that you want to see at the moment. Levels of Enlightenment, however, that's a little more enticing.
Yeah, these attack actions are kind of where Zach gets to gain some actual damage that force cards from Eugene. So those are very, very important in this matchup as we see him playing it for just a single mode activated.
That mode will be ostensibly go again, I'd have to imagine.
It's got to be go again. And Eugene just says, take it. I'll go to half.
This is probably the least threatening levels of Enlightenment that Eugene has seen all day. However, this Enigma Chimera for 8.
Yeah.
is a little more threatening.
Yeah, the attacks are where Eugene is going to have to make some tough choices.
I don't remember the last time I saw an Enigma Chimera in the red played against me. I feel like it's typically a very easy blue include for a lot of these illusionist players. Zach adding it in for an immense amount of pressure against this Kano player, who is deficient on life already.
Eugene in the tank would have really liked to keep his cards or at least send them on offense.
Adrian Garcia in the chat says, let me know if there are any other updates on the other matches. Currently, we've got our other semifinal going with Andrew Rudin on New and Colin Eriksen on Kassai. That means we've had a Kayo player knocked out. We've had another new player knocked out by Eugene. And, of course, the match you casted previously. Our token Zen player is also out of the mix. So that's where we're at right now, Adrian. More updates as they come.
I got deep. We're like on flesh and blood. And
You want to talk about it for a second?
yeah. We got, it's
like
unlimited.
4 turns into a Kano game does to a motherfucker.
Zach dropping some profanity, but he's a wholesome guy, I promise. Eugene coming in with an Aether Spindle for 4.
It's a very good 2-card hand for Kano. Opting very, very powerful in this deck.
Sam O'Byrne, friend of the show, is in the chat. Zach's laugh is sending me lol. He's sending us as well.
Wow.
Sam. It's
Zach just
nonstop. We've been
takes
hearing it all day.
Says, I don't care about your opt. And Eugene certainly does. I see a wildfire. I see a Kindle.
You see, this is why I don't do it. Oh, God. He's going to be like 4 straight to the bottom.
Yep.
And I see some glare.
I have seen this situation myself. There's often a situation where the Kano presents the Aether Spindle, and it's impossible to quantify whether or not it's good to block it or not because you don't know what's on top. They don't either. Chances are they could send a lot to the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to want to hamper your own turn, especially when your whole game plan is pressure the Kano down.
Yep.
When all they're doing is getting information.
Yeah.
This early in the game.
Exactly. If you are giving up your cards on defense into Kano, you're playing exactly into his game plan. You must be on the offensive as the Enigma player. And sending those huge illusionist attacks with Phantasm is a fantastic way to do it, since Kano doesn't run any attacks to pop them.
Indeed so. What he does run, however, is a staff that sends arcane damage. And here it comes to Zach. He says, take it on the chin. Not with the card, of course. Just
Eugene
the euphemism.
Taking his first blood of the match, as we see Rage Spectre coming out. Powerful card, Ward 1, so it's not stopping a lot, but it comes in for a lot of damage if there is a blue pitch.
And boy, what a blue pitch this is. Zach is going to transcend off of this card, ostensibly to create another Spectral Shield or fuel the remainder of this turn. I know he wants to be swinging 6 with that Rage Spectre. He's going to have a tough time giving it go again because that arm slot has been taken up by another piece of AB equipment, which is usually held by Uphold Tradition.
Well, currently he has an additional action point at least to swing with it, which is nice because it was the only aura in the field when it entered. But you're right that this may be the only swing that he does this turn if he can't give it a counter.
And because Zach has what is about to be 3 cards in hand, I would have to imagine he has something up his sleeve.
Yeah.
A Spectral Shield with a +1 counter, perhaps? Oh my goodness, is that another Manifestation Samira guy?
It is.
No, it's not. Zach, ugh.
And he's got the chi to play it.
This is what happens to me every time I play Zach. He's got the absolute most ridiculous hands every single time. Sorry, Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene absolutely has an uphill climb, facing down quite the string of good draws in a row from Zach.
Interestingly enough, Zach does go ahead and swing the Rage Spectre for 6, which doesn't have go again. I wonder when he is going to choose to deploy this Mira guy, because he wouldn't be able to swing with it this turn.
Yeah, you know, I think what he's saying is I want to build a board up, and some of these cards need to stay in my hand to protect the aura as it swings in for 6, because Eugene is thinking about how he can push some damage here to prevent that.
Absolutely. And he doesn't need much. Only got Ward 1 over here, and there's nothing else to protect it. However, Zach could be holding back that chi in hopes of sniping like a blue sap or something that comes his way and protecting the Rage Spectre. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how Zach plays the rest of this out.
Yeah, I think that this measured play was very smart and level-headed on his end. You never want to see them swinging with 3 cards still in hand because it feels almost impossible to pop it with that much defense being threatened. So instead, he decides to block and take 3 damage. And Zach
up in the Mistville gully
Yep.
without an action point.
There's the Maragai.
Okay, here's the Maragai.
Pass Pio. Pass.
He passes Prio. Zachary Wallach is down with the Abreeves.
Mm-hmm. See, now he has a Tunic counter to swing the Maragai next turn. Of course, if he doesn't have cards in hand to defend it, it won't matter all that much. So he needs to be thinking about both offense and defense and being very conservative with the cards that he does decide to spend.
Eugene slamming down an energy potion to be drunk later. And that turns on his Waning Moon, pressuring the board of Zachary Wallach. Let's see how Zach decides to respond in this semifinal match, the July AGE Open Series.
Okay, yeah.
Arcane Barrier 1 and a red.
Ooh. Could Zach be baiting Eugene in with the rest of what is in his hand? I would have to imagine he's otherwise fairly blue flooded.
Yeah. These Enigmas rarely hit the all-red hand. We did see one somewhat earlier, but these look like blues to me.
Right, you are, Michael. That's definitely another Shimmers of Silver, pitching a Rage Spectre. And here comes Miragai.
Yeah, so
For
he
8.
has 8 potential resources to guard these wards as they're coming in.
Let's see if Eugene has what it takes to take out this Spectral Dragon. I am seeing a lot of reds in this hand, one of them being the namesake card of Kano, Aether Wildfire. I think that's
Yeah.
2 reds, 2 blues, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Eugene would love to see an all-blue hand and then
course.
just top deck the reds. One of them's
Oh,
a
and it's a
Kindle,
Kindle.
though, so that's a useful card. I'll say that much.
Is it useful in this situation, though?
It could be. It really depends on if he decides to dump his entire hand to try to pop this, or if he plays a little bit more measured. It's certainly not useful if he goes for blocking.
I'm sure it must feel terrible for Eugene facing this situation again where he maybe feels like he has to dump his entire hand, a ton of resources, some of these critical potions that are probably going to be his end game just to clear this massive ward dragon.
He's really sort of at the mercy of the top of his deck at the moment.
Makes you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, and especially at the cusp of under double digits on the life total side of things, he's got to make something happen.
Yeah, he doesn't have as much life to work with as he would like in this position.
Now, when you were playing this matchup on the Kano side, did you have to deal with early Miragas like Eugene is?
No, Zach is getting exactly what he needs, exactly when he needs it. I mean, I guess on the positive side, if we're looking for the silver lining, they won't come up later. So getting them out of the way is one of the things that Eugene has to do one way or another at some point in this game. I guess you might as well do it early.
And let's see if you can do it here. We're deploying the Kindle,
Yep,
probably holding priority until we can clear the entirety of the hand.
Mhm.
We know he's got one more red in the hand in the form of the Aether Wildfire, and then a blue. So he would have to overpitch in order to get that card draw off of the Kindle.
Right.
Okay, cool.
I wonder if he's thinking about doing a sequence with the Ragamuffin's hat here.
Quite possibly.
Yep, and there it is. So deciding to use the Ragamuffins to make sure that that Wildfire gets to the top of the deck where he needs it for the Kano resolution, and hoping...
He doesn't even take a look first? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Eugene, you're making my
He's
heart
like,
stop.
look, man, it doesn't matter. And he gets the blue, which was really, really important for him in this spot.
I know what this is, so I'm going to put it there anyways.
And Eugene being forced to use a very critical piece of equipment
Yeah.
in the form of the Ragamuffin's hat.
So the Kano resolves here. before the Kindle, which is very important because now Eugene can respond by playing the Wildfire. It won't be buffed by the Kindle, but I think he's okay with that in order to draw the extra card.
Zach's laugh transcends time and space. Transports us into a time maybe in our past where we felt a little bit better about life and didn't have as many stressors.
Why did I do that?
Thank you, Zach, for that.
Flesh and Blood really is our happy place, isn't it?
It's definitely Zach's.
But I can't let it resolve, but I want it to resolve.
Yep.
Oh, the waning moon.
Oh no, the waning moon. What's he thinking? He just doesn't have enough resources?
Right. He can't.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Well, he can actually play the Waning Moon in order to get that card out of his hand, and then draw the card from Kindle and then play the Wildfire. I think he's just thinking, I'd love to buff this Wildfire. I don't want this Kindle buff to go to waste. So he just kind of remembered for a moment that he does have a way to sequence it that allows him to get the buff onto the Wildfire.
Which is interesting because how much does he actually want to buff the Aether Wildfire here? Because best case scenario, it's being eaten up by the Mirror guy.
Right.
Like I know we want to make use of our Kindle, obviously, and we want to get the card draw there. That seems to be the value prop here. But I don't think there's a huge difference between Aether Wildfire for 4 and 5, is there?
I mean, probably not if he covers it up all the way. So goes for the Kindle draw as that resolves. And Lessons and Aether Wildfire sitting there in the Banish Zone ready to be played if Eugene gets the resources he needs from that draw. Didn't see the card. Let's see if we can catch it as he flips it. Looks like...
Oh, he's teasing us.
Taunting. I think that might be a Tome.
Tome of what?
The red one.
Aether Flare?
And he's
or
gonna
Aether...
Tome of
Aether
Aether
Flare,
Fire.
Aether Fire,
Everything is an Aether Flare.
Wildfire. Oh my goodness. Everything's fiery. Eugene in the Kano tank.
Yeah, and he had another Kindle in his arsenal, so maybe thinking about a way to play that out as well. It's kind of tough to, I mean, those are one of the best cards in Eugene's deck, and I know that he would love to use them for some damage rather than just playing them to not take damage. But he is in this right now because the second Mirror Guy was played with a Chi, and that is one of the most oppressive cards that Enigma has in her arsenal.
Indeed
Huge
so.
damage and defense all in one.
Indeed so. Eugene really in the tank here at the semifinals, the July AGE Open Series. Making sure he's dotted all of his I's, crossed all of his T's.
I'm going to play Cindering Foresight.
Ooh, Cindering Foresight is not a bad pickup here.
Yeah, I think he kind of wishes it was a blue, but because he has the Kindle in Arsenal, he can put a blue at the top and get kind of what he needs off the top.
Which will fuel both the Lessons in Lava and the Aether Wildfire.
Yeah.
And potentially give him yet another card draw off of that Kindle in Arsenal.
Yeah, I think Eugene is sort of... It's bittersweet because while he can defend here, this is a lot of his offensive potential being used in a way that isn't really going to do a lot of damage to Zach.
I would have to imagine that he's feeling like he's kind of just spinning his wheels, just trying to stop Zach's game plan rather than advancing his own.
Hold on.
That is a very astute observation, Bryce.
Okay, so the next one would be coming. I'm going to break Energy Potion. 2 resources. So this one would be coming in.
You can do it, Eugene. I know you can.
This is just to break the wards. This is so bad.
Yep.
Eugene expressing what we figured he might be feeling at this moment.
Yeah, this is how a Kano feels when his Aether Wildfire is used as a popper.
A non-6 popper, though, and there is some value in that.
It's like blocking with bonds and
Yeah, pretty much. Doesn't feel great, but sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
To make it to the next turn cycle.
Ward 6? Right.
Oh, because it's not his turn. That Rage Spectre had Ward 6. I completely forgot that that was one of the lines of text on that card. That is brutal.
Mm-hmm. So Eugene, no matter what, he was going to have to deploy 2 forms of 2 spells here
Yeah.
in order to actually clear the mirror guy.
Can he hit another 4 breakpoint? Is that Kindle affecting the
In
lessons?
response to the lesson, attempt to play Restless Spirit.
Doesn't matter anymore.
That's a good pickup.
Yep.
That's a
So
really good
when
pickup.
It resolves.
Yeah.
I can move a counter onto it,
Mhm.
and I, as an int, I can remove a counter to make a spectral shield.
Okay.
And it innately has ward.
Before that resolves.
I love that response from Eugene.
Yeah.
Zach has just been sitting here letting Eugene stew in the tank for like 7 minutes, knowing that he has like one of the best answers he could possibly have.
Mhm.
Onto this, and then.
And we see enough to cover it up without the Miragai dying here.
Mhm.
And I will.
Well, we've got oh, and then he's got enough left over in pitch, righto.
Eugene is not feeling good about the way that this all went. You'd think with 2 Kindles, a Wildfire, and a Lesson that he would be
We found an
over the
Aether Arc.
moon.
Yeah, baby, we fucking love Blue Zach.
Yeah. And that shield is enough to cover it.
We're gonna have to give Zach some language coaching, but you can see his excitement boiling over
Yeah.
in the semifinal,
Eugene going down to 4 with no cards in hand.
and
a Miragai.
understandably so, because Zach basically has just secured his place as the king of the hill in this game.
Yeah.
Pass. We're good. Cool. To my turn.
Zach just such a good narrator, such a clean player, because he's played so much Illusionist over the years. Watching him play, he makes it very easy to follow on the other side of the table, and also for us here in the booth.
We're going to activate.
You know, he knows what he's doing.
Cool. That works. That's things that we like. I'm going to activate. Dude, your AB3 is so good right now.
Zach showcasing why this Silent Stilettos
Nothing but blue.
sideboard choice is so important. That extra AB being
Yeah.
absolutely critical in the game.
Yeah, the Arcane Barrier protecting all of these wards. It's not enough to just send 1 damage. You have to be hitting breakpoints, which is tough for Kano. There's not a lot of spells that come in for 4 damage without pumping them with the Crucible, which
Yeah.
Eugene critically does not have in this matchup.
All right, we're drawing cards. Draw a card is the chosen modes for Tome of Aetherwind.
You know. For fuck's sake, dude.
Eugene loving the card on the top of his deck. Unapologetically. I would like to point out that Eugene's hat says in response, just so you know where he stands.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what is on the top of his deck here that he's so frustrated about.
I like this game.
It's got to be a blue, right? Or perhaps his Eye of Ophidia,
Hate this. This is
which
so
I believe he's running. Should we double check that real quick?
banish it. God damn it.
I do see an Eye of Ophidia.
Could be that. Could be Kindle. One of the cons of running Kindle and I, despite how powerful those cards can be, is they do not allow you to pull them off the top of a Kano activation. So must
That would be very frustrating on Eugene's side of the table, especially considering he's already seen 2 out of 3
yeah.
this game.
Oh, it's a Wildfire. So he's frustrated because he's like out of those now, and that's his win condition. And with Zach having 3 cards in hand and 3 ward on table, Eugene knows that this isn't going to do any damage.
Get there, Eugene. Don't you give up on us. It's important to iterate once again how talented of a Kano player that Eugene is. This is his ride or die.
Yeah.
At one point, I believe during the Lexi meta, he felt like Kano wasn't strong enough. He opted to continue playing the game in when the top tier deck was a matchup he hated.
Mm-hmm.
He just stuck it out, man.
Yeah. It's dedication.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many decks in this format that allow you to play the game the way Kano does. And the people who love him just absolutely love him.
Surely more options to come in the new set Rosetta with 2 additional wizards.
Looking
I know that's going
very
to pull me
forward.
into wizard.
Yeah. You going to try Kano?
Maybe. Maybe I'll go that deep. We'll see.
4 damage coming through and another instant ward.
Restless Coalescence. Let's see if Zach chooses to take a +1 counter and generate another Spectral Shield. I'd have to imagine so. Also 2 floating and pitch at the ready to help cover up whatever ward can't handle. This is kind of, honestly, before you told me that this matchup can be pretty grindy, this is pretty much how I expected.
Right,
would
this
go.
is, you know, people kind of assumed going in that Enigma would absolutely destroy Kano, but believe it or not, it's the consensus from the best Kano players is actually that it's Kano favored. So seeing Zach make it look this easy to shut the Kano down speaks volumes to both the way that Zach drew, the way that Eugene drew, and just the way that Zach probably knows.
In response,
Look at the hat, Zach.
there's our eye. Luckily, it's not found on a Kano activation.
And another frown from Eugene. I mean, it's hard not to be, you know, like, yeah, there's very, very little that Eugene can get at this moment that's going to bail him out of this hole that he's in.
So it looks like Eugene went ahead and activated the Waning Mood, the Kindle, and now the Snapback in response to this Restless Coalescence, forcing Zach to try to find a way to block out all of this arcane damage before the Restless even resolves. And goodbye, Miragai, it will be.
Well,
could this be a turning point for our hero, Eugene Galipchak?
2 down, 1 to go. If Eugene's lucky, it won't come with another chi.
Yeah, and if I know anything about Zachary Wallach, it surely will, and it'll be
Probably,
next turn.
yeah, next turn. God. And so he clears the board. No cards in hand.
So Eugene will be forced to simply pass priority, draw up,
Yep.
and give it on back to Zach.
Man, I would love nothing more than to see the heroic comeback of the century on Eugene's side. But it is looking like one heck of a hill to climb.
It's looking like a dark day for Mr. Eugene for our 1-grade Kano over there.
5-card hand on the side of Zach.
Gosh, I want to be in the room when that Kano card came in to be graded.
Yeah.
At that point, they're like, I know what this guy wants.
Yeah. And here's an attack, which ironically, it was so frustrating to have all that ward on the table, but these attacks are actually even worse. They demand cards from Eugene, and, you know, he can't shut anything down and gain value that way.
I mean,
it's just an even trade.
That Manifestations of Miragai essentially demanded like 10 cards. The ones he drew, the ones he pitched.
Here we have a Phantasmaclasm. So
That's
this is
rough.
actually going to take a card out of Eugene's hand.
Cute thing.
Zach is feeling good at the moment.
What cute thing is left?
It lets me draw if I Kano out.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
cute thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, spit your whole hand. Smart. Problems here.
Zach says, pitch your whole hand to get that cheeky draw off of the Phantasmaclasm. I dare you.
It's a bold bait. Let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, with 1 card in hand, a Tunic resource, and 2 floating, I don't know if I'd take that bait on Eugene's side of the table.
Yeah, probably a losing bet.
And no Ragamuffins hat to speak of.
I'll go ahead and Kano.
Wow.
Can I even do anything with it?
What is he hoping to find here?
I guess the last Aether Wildfire. The thing that Eugene has going for him is the fact that Zach doesn't have any ward on board.
Right, but he
Which
does have a
means-
card in hand.
Yeah, there's maybe a world where Eugene pushes through enough damage, but
It's already blocked with a card. I don't see it.
we've seen 2 Blazing Aethers already go to the bottom.
Well,
We've
first-
seen 2 Aether Wildfires
Yeah,
played.
Yeah.
That's where.
Yeah, act surprised.
so bad.
2 dragons down, 1 to go, baby.
Civil
knows?
War reenactment.
We basically are.
Are we back?
Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, we're back. Thank you so much for being patient with us and our technical difficulties. Can we let the players know that we are back live? The players have graciously held themselves at a block step for us. As a reminder, Zach has got Eugene back up against a wall. The latest thing that has happened is turn was passed back to Zach. Zach went ahead and sent a weakest link Eugene's way. The point we're at now is a declaration of blocks.
Yeah, and that's actually exactly how Eugene reacted the first time.
No, this is the first time
oh,
that it's
I'm sorry.
happening.
Yeah, no, this is not a reenactment.
So Eugene, Zachary showing some sacred tech in the form of a pummel from the Welcome to Wraith era
Yeah.
of Flesh and Blood.
Winning play.
Eugene in the tank now, seeing if there's anything he can do to enact 35 points of life from Zach with 2 cards in hand
Yeah, maybe
and a dream.
he could pitch to Kano and get a sink below from his sideboard.
I'm actually not sure he can even pitch to Kano. That's a red and possibly another red.
Okay. Then we are going to play Aether Flare before the resolution of the pummel.
We're having a good laugh here.
Because I'm going to win myself.
Ah,
Oh, Eugene going out on his own terms. He says, Zach, you can't kill me with this sacred tech. I decided I'm going to waning moon myself.
I'm not fired. I quit.
Exactly.
You didn't get me. Sorry.
Zach still unable to clinch out the victory against Eugene. The wizard
Oh, Zach will take
extraordinaire.
the victory, but he does not have Eugene's pride.
No.
That belongs to Eugene and Eugene alone, and this must be the next best rivalry in Flesh and Blood for this exact reason. Once again, the left side of the stream is taken down the right, and Zachary proving that he is still an illusionist master as he
Yeah.
heads off to the finals.
I'm going to ask our producers if we have any updates on the other match going on as we figure out who these finalists are. Looks like Colin took it on Kassai, so the final match will be Enigma versus Kassai.
And surely it's also a Team AGE showdown.
It is.
How about that?
Arcane Games and Events finally featuring some Arcane players.
What are you
I
talking
mean,
about? We had Chris
We're
Ayala in
pretty
the
good
finals
at
last,
this. Oh,
last month.
he's the captain. That's right. He shows up and he wins all the time. I guess sometimes the good wins go by the wayside as I get stuck. I get snagged on all of the fallen comrades. I saw a lot of team kills happen in Swiss today.
Well, when you're about half of the bracket, then
Fair
kind
enough.
of makes it hard to avoid team kills.
And here we are with the top 8 bracket. Colin, Eriksen, Kassai of the Golden Sand. B-tier deck, they say, coming into the finals against Zachary, Wallach's Enigma, making it look easy to beat Kano. Anyone who told you that Kano stands a chance against Enigma, they say Kano's favored. Zachary says, what are you talking about?
And Colin is one of those die-hard Kassai players. I mean, this is the first hero he has ever played in this game. It's important to know that he has not been playing this game for very long. He's an Odyssey local, and he has been taking down those armories pretty much every week that he shows up. The man is a master of his craft, and I pale to think about what he could do with a S-tier deck.
Oh,
But
yeah.
He says, nope, I'm sticking with Kassai.
Yeah.
I don't need another deck in
Well,
my
you
life.
know, what he basically says is, you guys are wrong. It's not a bad deck. And it must be either he's figured it out in a way that other people just haven't. It clicks, it works in his brain. But, I mean, he's showing up and saying, like, guys, I'm on Kassai because Kassai's the better deck. Not even just because I, want to. He really believes that it's one of the best decks in the format. And, who can argue against the results that he's putting up?
And maybe he can show us exactly why he thinks that in the finals of the July AGE Open Series. Should we show the people what they could win once again? We've got a handsome little medal here, and of course that cold foil. Show it off to the people. Give us
Can we
some
get that
shimmer,
the
Michael.
foil? Where there?
Yes, absolutely. That full art cold
There
foil.
it is. I found it.
Arcane
Oh, I
lantern.
lost it.
That goes to
There's the
every
foil.
one
Look
of
at
our
that.
Open Series champions.
Amazing.
And we will be back with that and more Flesh and Blood after this. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what will be the final match of the July Arcane Games and Events Open Series. Are you psyched or what, Marcus?
I'm fairly psyched. I'm fighting through the fatigue, but I'm psyched.
That was as dry and British as it could be. I'm
Yeah.
fairly psyched. Give me some energy.
I'm quite psyched because I know both the players really well, and they both went through some weird parts of Swiss and some rematches to get here, so it's going to be a fun one.
Okay, that was a little better. Thank
Yeah,
you
there
for that.
Brought the energy. Thank you for inspiring me.
Indeed so. Let's go ahead and take a look at our match intro. It is Colin Eriksen on the right, bringing Kassai of the Golden Sands versus resident villainous laugh man, Zachary Wallach.
I wouldn't call him a true villain. He just has a very intense, hearty laugh.
No, exactly. There's so much joy behind it, but it is dreadful to hear because you know that means you are getting absolutely destroyed.
Well, I think it's actually infectious because I've heard it so much that I don't associate it with something bad. You know, it's not tinged. It's always something where I'm probably laughing too if I know what he's laughing at.
Huh. That is different than my experience, but I'll go with it.
It's probably because you've been on the receiving end of so much of his Dromai, and
have.
meanwhile, in my Guardian land, I'm like,
You're like,
It's
yeah,
okay,
whatever.
Zach.
That's all.
Pop,
It's all in
pop,
good
pop,
fun, huh?
pop,
Yeah,
pop.
exactly. Yeah, no. Zach and I usually meet in round 3 of these events, and like pro quests and that kind of thing. And usually I'm on Ranger. Usually he's on Illusionist, and we know how that goes. So here we go. Players are shuffling up, competing for that $400 meal ticket, I guess, as it were, and the cold foil full art Arcane Lantern and this beautiful medal from Hobby Lobby, if I'm not mistaken. Players are miking themselves up now, so we'll be clued into the action. What do you think about this matchup, Marcus? Who do you think has the edge here?
on face value, one would easily gravitate towards Illusionist. Considering the fact that Kassai wants to be hitting in order to make gold and set up for a sellsword endgame, the little bits of ward that Enigma can put out can be a thorn in the side of Kassai. But Kassai is more than comfortable to go to a later game and like grind it out with Enigma. And Colin is honestly no stranger to that. Like, he plays long games. He's got Heart of Fiendel. He can go the distance. He's fatigued Charles done before.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the, like, you know how you have your gem rivals. Mine, of course, is Zachary Wallach and say like Ryan Brown and stuff. Colin Eriksen's is Charles Dunn, and it has been since he started this game. So he has been well versed in incredibly long games since he started coming to the Arcane Games Open Series. And that is the power of the Southern California player pool. You get good fast, or you drop off a cliff.
Well, you spend a bit longer like me, and it's like a reflection of your intelligence that it took you that long.
No. Marcus, be nice to my friend Marcus. You're a very intelligent man. Handsome to boot.
Why, thank you.
A lot of shuffling action going on here. Looks like it's time for a little thing I like to call plugs. We're going to plug the Battle Hardened in San Diego coming up next month, August 24th and 25th. Tell them what they could win, Marcus.
Well, we've got $2,000 in total prizing across both days, so $2,000 for both days, including 2 PTIs for both the winner and runner-up of the Battle Hardened, along with a legendary envelope, cold gold foil for the winner of the Battle Hardened, plus a ProQuest Plus in the AGE, the last AGE Open of the year, before the Players' Championship wraps, which also has a PTI on the line for the winner and a common to majestic cold gold foil packet for the winner.
Tickets are going fast, folks. We are at capacity of 150, and they're going quick. So get yours now at www.age.events. Go there now. Buy it. Buy it now. Also, let's go ahead and take a look at our current standings for the qualification of the Players' Championship. A lot of the players we've seen here today have secured their foothold in these top 8 slots, but we are also about to see a bit of a shakeup in the slots, say, about like 17 to 20. Where John Zapata and a handful of other players are holding on for dear life. Both Peter Buddensiek and Zachary Wallach making top 8 today, help to solidify themselves for the Players' Championship at the end of the month. Zach is definitely in much better standing after making it to the finals. Yeah. Looks like we are ready to go back to the action where the players are geared up, drawn up, and ready to go. Looks like Zachary Wallach is electing to go first, which is no surprise because he probably wants to set up that ward board as soon as possible.
He's really thinking heavily over this first hand.
He definitely doesn't have an easy play line then.
Okay, Coalescence.
Resolving with no counters to snipe, which means no extra value from Spectral Shield generation.
Yeah, I can see why he's probably like pondering so much of this hand, because it's kind of an awkward opener.
Especially because he's got one of those unravel aggressions, which are a really awkward card to draw early.
He does have a mirror guy in there, though.
But Zach, being a hyper-efficient player, probably doesn't want to play it until he has found that chi. Passing back to Colin Eriksen without giving him an opportunity to filter any of his hand. Unfortunately, and Colin finding himself with 2 Fate Foreseens in hand. Hit and run and an overpower. So he will get to swing both of his swords, but this is definitely not the turn you want to see.
No, it's some clunk from both sides, but I feel like, given Colin's hand, a little clunkier.
I'll pitch Fate Foreseen to come into the Centauri Saber.
No block anywhere.
No reactions.
Or 2.
Yep, Zach just happy to let Coalescence go.
And Zach's sitting there with a Transcend card in hand.
Yep.
Maybe
And
if he
coming to the hot
does he have another blue? I see an Enigma Chimera.
He held on to the mirror guy, so...
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to transcend and play the mirror guy on his turn, though. Probably depends on what he's got in that arsenal. Incoming is Hot Streak for 2. No on-hits, no glitz, no glamour. Just a friendly stab in the tummy.
It's also threatening the Einsorn versus Courage.
Oh, that's true.
Colin
Right,
broke
you
up
are.
the chain for it.
Sounds good. Move to end.
Before you end turn. Omar.
There we go. I forgot about the Unravel Aggression. This is going to allow us to transcend and play the Manifestations of Mirror Guy on his turn. I don't think we've seen a single game today where Zach doesn't play a Manifestations of Mirror Guy on turn 2 with a chi.
Tick up Tunic.
Probably just his lucky day, or a mixture of him and his prowess and a lucky day.
From what I know from Zach, this is just par for the course. This is why he is able to force Enigma every single draft pool, every single CC event.
However, electing to use Command and Conquer first.
Interesting.
Mainly because the entire chi would be spent on Mirror Guy, and then he'd have to
Right,
spend
of course.
CNC. Yeah.
He'll be much happier to do something like that on his next turn when he has the Tunic counter up.
6.
So Zach doing the hard work early on to get a Transcend card into his deck so that Traverse the Universe can be the hyper-powered piece
I
of
was just
equipment
about to
it is.
raise that point that it puts his Traverses live, so he can block when he wishes.
Back over to Colin Eriksen, where he will be able to get value on his Heart of Fiendal that he's drawn rather early. Typically, that is not something you can get any life value on this early in the game, but
I mean,
because that
considering,
Transcend card is homage.
Zach used Homage, so...
And pitch Heart of Fiendal. This will gain me a life since I'm at a
Yo.
And look at the glee with which Colin announces it, and Zach accepts that life gain.
I will gain a life. We will both go to 41.
Ah, we're pogging.
Besides having a villainous laugh, Zachary Wallach is also a
Instantly
walking,
cashes
talking
in
meme.
Traverse, yeah.
I mean, this is the best situation for it, right? You've got a mirror guy locked and loaded, ready to go, no board, and plenty of life with which to play.
If you would like to cut.
No,
Zachary Wallach.
no sources of go again from Colin.
Zach daring his opponent to cut, because it seems like every time they do, he finds a Manifestations of Mirror guy right after. I don't know if I'm going to cut him anymore, actually.
Play Maragai, pitch Chi, come out 4 counters.
Bread and butter, like it's nothing.
I think
Let's see what the rest of this hand is going to look like,
that
Marcus.
looks like a weakest link, or is it a... No, that's being pitched. That is definitely a Warmongers.
Go again.
Indeed it is.
It's because it was generic. The border was fooling me.
8 go again is the ask on the side of Zachary Wallach. Now, I heard a little bit about Colin's strategy going into this. He is totally fine letting this game go long. One of the things he is looking to do is to hold back his Steel Blade Shunts, which are in the deck, and use them to snipe these really pesky manifestations of Miragai when they threaten his life total. For now, the block is just going to be a Fate Foreseen and a Sink Below.
He'll do some digging.
This is one of those beautiful combos with these early printed D-Reacts where play the Fate Foreseen, take a look at the top card. If you like it, you can choose to draw it off the sink. Filter your hand perfectly, prepare for the next turn.
I will hit the yellow.
Darn.
Transcend.
Fly by Raisin Army.
Colin upset to see that yellow go because
Make up
Kassai needs reds and yellows in her graveyard to fuel her hero ability.
free.
Here comes the Spectral Shield for 2. Go again.
I will give you 1.
Colin cashing in on the value of the Valiant Dynamo. Nice and early. Looks like his hand does have sources of go again. That's a blood on our hands. Also a stroke of foresight. He does have go again.
It's
Fantastic.
just not a great source.
Yeah.
No blocks.
This is a really wide chain from Zach. Red Chimera.
Down
This is probably the most amount of damage that I've ever seen Colin Eriksen take in one place. That was 8 straight to the face, and he took it just fine.
Yeah, and it was 20 in total that Zach just presented.
So far, Zach showcasing the, what do we call it, obvious interpretation of how this match could go. Let's see if Colin can claw his way back in here. He probably knows that he's got to hold something back in his hand so that he can threaten this board state that Zach has established so early, so defiantly.
No block in your act.
Colin thinking about this stroke of foresight here.
Give it go again. Move to damage.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Colin says, A-OK. Goodbye to the 2 ward pieces of equipment, which means that this Manifestations of Miragai is wide open for the taking. That is unless Zach has some cards to say otherwise.
Here comes the follow-up Saber number 2.
No.
Oh, pardon me, after Hot Streak.
This looks fairly innocuous from Colin, but we know he's got the Tunic counter up,
Yeah,
stroke of foresight in hand.
he's going to force it.
This will get the reprise trigger.
1 damage over.
Plus from hand.
Okay, reprise will trigger. Draw a card. Then put a card
To the bottom, right? Or top?
top or bottom.
Top or bottom. So keep it on top.
Colin
Yeah.
effectively opts 1 card, likes what he sees.
No draw.
Unfortunately, Zach has the second D-React to cover this up.
Mm.
Now, that's a Sink Below that only blocks for 1, but it keeps a 5 counter Mirror Guy still on the board. and
Keeps 10
there's-
power as a weapon on the board.
There is a
Exactly
lot of
what you
value
wanna
in
do.
that.
Swing raw guy.
Coming in is another 10 from this Manifestations of Mirror Guy. This is the second swing for 10 in this match, in as many turns.
We're only 12 minutes in.
I know. Colin definitely is comfortable going to a long game, but he might just not get the opportunity to.
Down 21.
My goodness.
Oh, another massive hit to the life total.
Sources Phantasmaclasm.
Oh my gosh, and a back-breaking attack on the back of the Mirror Guy. Phantasmaclasm 4-9. Colin Eriksen is forced to show the hand.
Zach is just sending massive illusionist haymakers.
Looking at the list of Colin Eriksen here, it seems like we only have 5 poppers in the entire deck. 3 Command and Conquer and 2 Nourishing Emptiness.
We'll draw
None of those are in that hand.
9 Phantasm.
Then I will draw a popper. I will not draw.
Poor Colin. Hoping for the popper off the top. No luck today.
Take 3.
Take 3.
18.
Colin is forced to donate yet more cards to the cause of defending his life total, which means more cards that aren't there to kill this Mirror Guy.
Activate gold. Drawing a card.
Okay.
Ah, there's the popper.
It was just
one card
one
deeper.
card away. Whoops.
You hate to see it.
I was about to make the point that given that Zach got to peek at Colin's hand, barring the one card that he draws new off Phantasmaclasm, he knows exactly what to expect in terms of reactions, so that he can better protect his Mirror Guy. However, Colin has slightly upset that in popping a gold to see one new card.
Nourishing.
And critically also, Zach doesn't get to see the card that he draws off of the Phantasmaclasm.
There was an ever so slight smirk from Zach, thinking, "Ha,
It's dominate.
Popper was one away."
You know he noticed that too. Here we are deep in the tank. Both these players fighting their way to the finals of the July AGE Open Series. The stakes have never been higher all day.
Block 3, react. Okay.
Oh, unfortunately, Zach finds that ward aura that is
And,
going to
ward
prevent the
3.
mirror guy from dying yet again. Oh, my heart goes out to Colin because this is not usually the way his games look.
My turn. Swing Raw Guy for 10.
Usually he is fighting his way tooth and nail for about 60 minutes and eventually grinds his opponent into dust.
I guess he can look on the bright sides here. At least it's just the mirror guy swinging this turn.
Just 10. All he's swinging is 10 for the third time in as many turns.
It's not followed up by another giant attack, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Colin forced to 10. Okay.
That is 30 points of value that this Manifestations of Mirror guy has generated thus far. And you can see why Zach is fighting tooth and nail to keep it on that board. Because boy howdy if he can get 40 out of it. I think it's done its work, but why not go for one more turn? This is the most amount of cards that I think we've seen in Colin's hand attacking this Mirror guy. Let's see if he can put something together.
It's fine. We win these.
Colin Eriksen.
We win these. There's the Blade Runner.
Colin always in good spirits, no matter what the case in his match. Zach having a think.
Yeah, he's got a couple Mystic auras in his hand.
Chris Schnell says it's kitties in hand. Sounds like we've got another Restless Coalescence ready to be deployed.
I mean, Coalescence would cover up a hot streak.
Indeed so.
And Zach gets all the agency to pull as many counters, I think, as he likes.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he'd like to keep as many as possible on that Mirror guy.
Play Restless, move a counter on here, and then use effect or move a counter.
Keep a Spectral Shield around.
It's always fun to watch Zach move through these play patterns because he's done them so many times. It just sounds so routine. Oh, and Colin being forced to pitch a red to swing that second sword.
Yeah, he's had like an awkward cycle thus far.
The only thing that he could be holding back reaction-wise at this point is probably an in the swing, because if it was a Blade Flurry, we would have seen it deployed on that first hot streak.
Yeah.
So Zach probably has a good amount of information going into this blocking step. And here comes the tunic block when Zach is at 41 life. That showcases just how important this Manifestations of Mirror guy is.
Ooh.
There's the in the swing. Let's see if Zach can cover it up. Or will this Mirror guy finally go to the bin and give Colin some breathing room to get himself back in this game?
Yeah, Zach had to give the Tunic in addition because the Saber is going to be boosted by blocking with CNC. Unfortunately, because it was tall enough with in the swing, he'll just have to let Mirror Guy go.
My turn.
Pitching a Manifestations of Mirror guy.
Spectre.
Establishing a lesser board, but
This is 4.
probably still enough to pressure the life total of Colin.
Or die now.
Swing for 1.
Colin says he will die now.
Pass.
I'm still with him. I still think he wins these. Zach with a reestablished board of a Waxing Spectre with a counter and a Spectral Shield without.
Okay, we've had the first...
Copper generator?
I was going to say like a warrior turn that resembles what you usually want. Pitch the blue, send the go again.
That is a really good point. Colin really has not been able to do many solid bread and butter Kassai turns, has he? Not a single banish, not
Yeah.
a single Kassai activation.
I wonder how much he shuffled over 60 in this matchup, or maybe he just didn't. And it's just like the luck of the draw.
Warmonger's Diplomacy and a Spectral Shield are the blocks.
2 from Hot Streak on the follow-up.
Looks like it's a 1-card block in the form of Levels of Enlightenment. And that'll be the turn. Arsenal up
The
and
Spectre
pass.
shall live, despite the fact that it is a Spectre, so it does not have life to begin with.
Does it have wax, though?
Probably with all the candles made to like offerings to your
Your
elders.
dog protector? Zach pitching a red unmovable.
I mean, he doesn't need that with small little swords like that.
It's all good. It is all good. It'll get the job done here, and it'll push some damage. Not sure what Zach is saving for the arsenal here, but it definitely looks like that Colin Eriksen is going to have at least one more shot at getting some damage on the board.
He's got a blade run. I think he's got a couple blade runners in this hand.
Yeah, he's got a lot of redundant sources of go again. 3 blade runners and a route.
Oh, a shunt.
Here we go. This is that
There
game
we
plan
go.
that Colin was trying to enact earlier. Just not able to find those shunts early enough to deal with that manifestation of Mirror Guy.
I mean, he has fully cleared the board now, so he can start with a clean slate. Maybe start carving away at Zach's life total now.
And here we go. Here's our first Kassai activation. An opportunity, perhaps, for Colin to claw his way back into this game. Diligently banishing the one attack action card that's in his graveyard so that the next time he finds himself with a Nourishing Emptiness, it'll be sure to have Dominate.
It's live for Dominate, yeah.
Here comes Hot Streak. Not with Go again so far. Just a friendly 2 and some indigestion. Megamonk says, are the wards weapons? Does Shunt ping? They
Yes.
absolutely
Cosmo Scroll of Ancestry?
Yeah.
Ledger of Ancestry is
Yeah.
is Enigma. Yeah, Scroll will make auras into weapons. So it counts as a weapon swing, ergo Shunt will trigger.
Which is why Colin's critical game plan is to take care of those manifestations of Mirror Guy with Steelblade Shunt.
During your turn, auras you control with ward are weapons with base attack equal to their ward, and once per turn action, pay 1, attack.
Wow, it was both papery things that you were trying to come up with, both Scroll and Tapestry.
Yes.
There are very few smiles in this match as opposed to the last one with Eugene. Once it's finals, it's all business for these players.
I mean, to speak to that demeanor, it was 2 old friends laughing at each other at the semifinals they found themselves in. And here we have 2 teammates duking it out to prove they're the best on the team. In this
Bragging
moment.
rights are important on that team, let me tell you. Red Blade
Especially-
Runner is the attack reaction to give Hot Streak Go again, which means that this Saber is coming in for 5. No, Marowak, that is no bug. Zach's life total is incredibly, obscenely high in this game.
He took the first bit of damage he's taken all game, 21 minutes in.
Colin's got to be feeling good. At least he's not Evan Bridges with an 040 on stream.
That was never getting lived down by Evan.
It's important to note that Colin did take down Evan in the quarterfinal matchup.
Yep.
And that was a matchup that Evan, like Peter Buddensiek before him, said was pretty free.
This is unlosable. I can't fluff it.
But fluff it he did, and here we are with Colin Eriksen in the finals.
Another mirror guy here? Just with 2, though. I see.
And he's forced to transcend with the drop in the ocean, which means that that chi cannot be donated to the manifestations of Mirror Guy. Zach with 3 cards, one of which is a blue pitch.
I think I see another Phantasmaclasm in hand.
Oh my lord. Will the onslaught never end? 4 go again is the ask for Colin Eriksen. This manifestations of Mirror Guy, not quite as threatening as the last, but still very scary this stage of the game.
He's got 2 poppers in hand.
Quick chime in from producer Justin, making a very good point and showcasing the fact that Zachary did go ahead and activate the Ward 3 on Meridian Pathway, just in case that Colin had a cheeky Steelblade Shunt in his hand or arsenal. Good spot, Justin. Unfortunately, it's just going to be a Phantasmaclasm for Zachary, and he found 2 poppers in the hand of Colin Eriksen. A pop will clean that up. Colin is sure wishing that that had happened a little earlier. And now he's finding himself red-handed against Zachary, the Illusionist Menace.
And also good that, well, I guess, given that there were 2 poppers in his hand, I was going to say that Zach might have opted to take away Nourishing so that he can't have it fielded against him. but that requires Colin to also like banish the popper he just used to pop,
Indeed.
and then waste a Kassai activation. So
Unfortunately, the only thing Colin can do on his turn is send in a hot streak, remove that lesser Manifestations of Mirror Guy, and pass. Zachary Wallach responding with a Waxing Spectre with a counter on it. Go again is the ask. The answer, Fate Foreseen from Colin's hand. Followed up by an Essence of Ancestry Body. Mind is the blue one. And a pass. Colin Eriksen with a little bit of leeway here once again. Maybe getting to that long-form game that he's been hoping for. Although the hand is not showing a whole lot of pressure here.
no, and no go against source for these swords.
On the bright side, he does have Tunic up, and is hopefully going to be able to make use of it here to get both these swords swinging at Zachary's face. Zach, on the other hand, sporting a good amount of blue cards. I believe that's a Spectre Aura in the form of Shimmers of Silver. Was that the final Manifestations of Mirror Guy? Did I miss that?
Could have been.
Couldn't see it. Zach keeping those cards close to the chest and on the table. We're still waiting for our plexiglass technology to come in, so can't see that quite yet. Shimmers of Silver donated to block. That's 2 for the hot streak, critically not giving it go again on its own. But Colin says, get that out of here and back into your hand. I've got a route. Route saying, reprise. If your opponent has blocked with a card from hand, put it back in their hand. Get that out of here. Turning this hot streak into 5.
Back to whence you came.
Zach, however, has an answer in the arsenal in the form of Sink Below. Not going to be enough to cover it up entirely. So Colin will get some sort of ward off of Zachary's board as a reward. Man, that was a lot of rhymes.
That was a lot.
I'm glad we made it through together, Marcus. That was a little terrifying.
You ever thought of a music career with rhymes like that?
Absolutely not. I think I'm right where I belong, honestly.
Zach will sink here. Oh, finds his sacred art.
Ooh, there's Zach's tell. I've heard of this. Right when that hand comes up to his chin and he gives it a little rub. Yes, he knows he has something juicy in hand.
Bleeding 1 over currently, no float, 10x up.
Zach wondering if he wants to protect this board. He could just let that Essence of Ancestry die.
Oh, this is very nice.
Yep.
Just leak.
To damage?
Or produce a shield with Restless from the +1 from Waxing.
Yeah, and then here comes Kitty card in the form of Restless Coalescence, and all of a sudden this
Take
board
no
is
damage,
doubled.
yeah.
Okay.
Passing it back over to Zachary
Play
with
Shimmer,
full steam ahead.
play Sacred Art, declare all 3 modes.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to transcend off this. However, Shimmers of Silver is going to use our action point. So Zach is just saying, I am going to blow this board up so big that you will never be able to manage it. We've got +1 counters galore.
Counter. Oh no, only on ward.
Only on ward.
And then he can also pitch into Enigma because that just transcended.
So even though Zach has not sent any damage Colin's way, he has done a lot with his turn.
Yeah.
And Colin now has full leeway to do as he likes. Let's see if he can make any use of it to get back in this game. We see a form of Go Again in 2 forms of Go Again in Blade Runner
Okay, boy.
and Run Through.
It's all right.
I've had better.
It's never quite enough for Zach.
I've seen better.
10 threatening 11.
Like chat is telling me, I looked away for 2 minutes and what happened? The illusionist just spat up all this board state in my face.
Emotional, you're not seeing double. This literally just happened last turn, basically. Before Colin passed turn back to Zach, he was able to stick a Restless Coalescence, get a Spectral Shield, and then on his turn, he basically did this with the Sacred Art and an Enigma activation. Looking bleak for our Lady with the Swords and Sand.
Where's my Murkmire Grapnel? Oh wait, I don't have that card.
Yeah, I bet Kassai wishes she could throw a Workmire Grapnel right now. Centauri Saber is the ask on the side of Colin Eriksen, currently coming in for 2. We have popped the gold, so this Saber is free. Zach adjusting his chair, making sure his spine is completely aligned before he chooses blocks. There is no room on Zach's combat chain to place more attacks, so he's just going to have to swing everything that's on his ward board.
Oh, here we go.
We got a couple reactions, some action on Colin's side of the board. Blade Flurry plus Blade Runner turns this saber into 4.
Coalescence to get a disposable shield out there.
Coalescence is just such a disgusting card in this current situation. Zach says, I've seen better. I say, I don't know, man. This is pretty nasty.
I think I know some of the mirror guy, or pardon me, the mirror guy. Too many dragons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dragon Lady herself. Too many Dromai boards that have looked actually worse than this.
And my goodness, Zach, if this wasn't bad enough, Zach also finds the perfect answer in that unmovable. We were talking earlier about how it's kind of useless against these small swords. Colin finally is able to beef one up to like 7, and there's the unmovable to stop it. My heart bleeds for him.
He'll get a counters from Shimmers. Come in. 3 go again.
Zach showcasing his knowledge of this class. May appear to the average viewer that he is swinging Restless Coalescence without Go Again, but it gets the counter from Shimmers of Silver, which then Cosmo sees and gives the attack Go Again.
Colin continues to fight to dispel these illusions and takes it on the chin here.
It is a bleak moment for our hero here, but Colin's going to see if he can fight his way through this. Yeah, I was curious to see Zach take an entire turn down, but he's reaping the rewards now. Basically, with 2 cards in hand, he's going to be able to threaten an abysmal amount of damage.
Yeah, so he'll get a free spectral shield swing here. Pardon me, the alliteration kind of got me. So, given that he's floating another 2.
Swing mine.
Oh, is that Austin Summers in chat? Austin Summers, recent top 8 contender at U.S. Nationals, is in chat. If you haven't seen it yet, he's got a really amazing Prism deck tech hosted by Chris Iali up on the Arcane Games and Events YouTube channel.
Check that one out.
Please like and subscribe those videos. That's some good content for you illusionist players out there. We've got a handful of them here on the AGE Pro team. It's always easy to get really high-quality illusionist matchups on this team, and I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, here we go.
The answer from Colin is Command and Conquer with Go Again. Not too shabby, but maybe a little too late.
Command and Conquer?
Colin having fun.
No, I'll just send another Command and Conquer.
Colin having fun with his death rows in this match. 2 CNCs.
I'll use this. Make a buddy.
I think I can deduct this from the spreadsheet and minus this expense this month.
Yes, exactly.
It won't hurt my bottom line looking at this board state.
Zach doing his taxes in real time. Deciding what cut he wants to give to the IRS before sending it to the Nether Realms.
Okay.
He says, all right, I will give you 2 of my 7-wide board.
About to remove a counter from Dynamo, but that's only swords, not CNCs.
We just get a free comedy show by putting the lapel mics on.
These players are so fun to watch. Colin says, I really thought I was about to remove the counter on my Dynamo, but it's swords, not CNCs. Darn.
One hand, 2 floats.
Always having a good time,
I see.
no matter the situation. This is why I'm really proud to call these guys my teammates.
What would be the prize that you would award for swinging 2 CNCs like that?
The prize?
Yeah,
Are we
in-game.
coming up with a piece of equipment?
Yeah, like some sort of magical Christmas land, like
Go 2 go again.
pull it off.
Oh man, I guess a 3rd CNC for free.
You may tutor a CNC to your hand.
No, one just comes in from your inventory. You're
Oh my
allowed to
goodness.
have as many as you want in
You get
your
a Command
inventory.
and Conquer token.
Yeah.
Equipment.
I'm coming up with fun ideas, not good ideas, all right? Colin Eriksen going down to 1. Looking dire for our hero. Agility token pops, though. We've got 2 cards in hand. 2 cards in hand. Let's see what he can do with them.
Spoils of War on a blue.
4 go again. Go again.
Colin Eriksen living the Sword Dream.
No block react.
There is a fate foreseen.
I was sitting there going, oh, Zach has the perfect cover-up in his hand in the form of Fate Foreseen. But what do you know? There's another one in Arsenal, Marcus. Yeah. That's just what it's like to play against Zachary Wallach.
Bottom.
Honestly, that's usually what it's like to play against Colin Eriksen in my experience, too.
2. Yep.
They've just always got the clean numbers. Hot Streak for 2 is the follow-up. No matter what, it's not connecting, however. Zach's life total will stay at 34, no matter what, at the end of this turn cycle.
I don't think Zach is too bothered, even if he gives no cards to defend this anyway.
No. We are going through the motions a little bit at this point. Ooh, Zach's other tell. Did you notice that little flick of the fingers when he formed a little fist and then released it again?
I like that we're playing like armchair psychology in addition to watching a finals.
It's important. You need whatever edge you can against Zach Wallach to get there. I swear.
I want to be funny, but I can't be funny.
What do you think that says about his psychology, Marcus? He wants to be funny, but he can't be funny.
I mean, that was the line I imagined in my head when I saw this hand. Like, why not stick the other Chimera on the end of this chain after swinging shields?
Yep, exactly.
That's a funny play.
Greedy as always, my friend.
Surely he has no popper.
Swing, get a counter. 4.
What the heck? I might as well swing for 4, 6, 8, 10. Off of a blue.
Dynamo's proving their worth here.
Heal 2, go again.
Critically, removing their counter because Colin didn't swing 2 CNCs that turn. It was instead 2 swords.
Very astute of you.
Enigma Chimera for 8.
Oh my goodness.
That seemed pretty funny.
Remembrance.
Remembrance donated.
I will
to
take
the
my
bench.
game action. I will sew my poppers back in, and that's the game.
And that'll be the finals, going to Zachary Wallach, proving that once and for all, the left side of the stream is much stronger than the right.
Way too strong.
Congratulations to Zach and his illusionist prowess.
His shields, his ledgers.
Winning by a narrow margin of 33 life points and 3 swings.
Hey, Colin
of a
can flex
manifestation
that
of a
one
mirror guy.
over Evan and say, like, I got life points off this guy. You didn't.
I drew blood. You did not.
The blood might be all over my hands and not just my body.
But I flicked a little onto Zachary Wallach. That's going to do it for us here at Arcane Games. That was our final match. We will bring Zachary in for an interview and ask him how that felt to swing a mirror guy for 40 points of damage. My guess is the answer will be good.
Very good, but not for Colin.
No, but that's why we're not interviewing Colin, because he would say bad. And we want to hear good. And we will get to award Zach the illustrious prize of a Hobby Lobby medal and a full art cold foil arcane lantern, not to mention 400 smackers, which he will surely use to bring out his illusionist deck.
Buy more illusionist cold foils. Let's be real.
And not to mention, let's take one more look at the Players' Championship standings. Zachary, previously kind of at the bottom of this leaderboard, but with this win, securing his place.
When he gains exactly 30 points to his 39, he goes up to 69.
And what is the significance of that, Marcus?
There's nothing significant about that number. I just wanted to point it out.
Indeed, and it'll bring him just underneath Talon Stradley and put him squarely in 4th place, which honestly is a very safe place going into the final AGE Open of the year. Partnered with, of course, Battle Hardened San Diego.
Absolutely.
Tell me about it, Marcus.
So we've got a $2,000 total prize pool across both days. So $2,000 for both the days. We've got 2 PTIs on offer, one for the winner of Battle Hardened San Diego and the runner-up, a legendary gold cold foil envelope, nearly misspoke, to the grand winner of the Battle Hardened, along with a common to majestic gold foil envelope for the winner of the last AGE Open of the year on the Sunday.
That was a large mouthful of words, and you did great with it, Marcus. Don't forget that the tickets are selling out for the Battle Hardened San Diego. We only have a capacity of 150, and tickets are going quick. So get yours at www.age.events. Go now. Don't wait. What else we got, Marcus?
Is there any more spoiler talk to be had? Maybe.
Spoiler talk. I think we've had our spoiler talk for the day, but what are you most excited about in Rosetta?
It's still the Majestic that they revealed with the new. I think it's. I don't want to say mulch as a mechanic because mulch is a
Decompose is the mechanic.
decompose. Okay, kind of like mulching, but yeah, felling of the crown. This is my favorite because as a 2-card 8 that is also a 3-block, so it's really good. It's checking a bunch of boxes. The fact that you can take a card away from your opponent and you don't also have to tuck a card is pretty powerful as a 2-card 8.
Even if it ends up coming in for 4, that is still on rate when you add in the value that you're getting from ripping a card out of your opponent's hand.
Yep.
Let's see Florian. We didn't get to go over Florian earlier on. Is this a hero that you're excited about? Earth Runeblade? Does that jive with you?
Actually. Because I'm eager to do things like stir the wildwood and pummel and
block a lot.
Yeah, block a fair bit. Play like a Runeblade mid-range.
You are awfully good at blocking, much to my dismay oftentimes.
What can I say? I play Guardian in just about everything I touch in this game.
Yeah, Florian, if there are 4 or more Earth cards in your Banished Zone, Florian gets. If you would create 1 or more Aura tokens, instead create that many +1 of each of those tokens. Ostensibly, Rune Chant tokens and Embodiment of Earth tokens. Hence the blocking discussion. If you want to engage with us at Arcane Games and Events, please join our Discord. We've been flashing the invite link here and there. Join the discussion and engage with all of the players that you've seen here every single month at the Arcane Games and Events Open Series. All of them are active there and are really swell people to interact with. So please join us. We would love to have you. We're going to go to break real quick, and we will be back with Zachary Wallach, the villainous laugh himself, and the July champion of the Arcane Games and Events Open Series. Don't go anywhere.
Do not click off. welcome back to the Arcane Games Open Series. I've got our winner today, Mr. Zach Wallach, the Wall himself.
It's me.
2 times winner now,
Yeah.
finally.
First AG champion to have won 2 different AGs.
On 2 different illusionists.
I would be playing Dromai today if I could, brother.
I know. Like, some of the board states we just saw kind of resembled, like, peak Dromai from what we could see. But,
Nothing warmed my heart more than having a full board of just the Restless Coalescence, the Essence of Ancestry, and then just all my Spectral buddies, and just swing it all. It almost reminded me of Ashwings. Brings me back. It gives me warm feelings.
yeah. I knew as soon as I think you sank into the Sacred Art that, like, this is where the rest of this final was going. You were just producing shields everywhere. So, how did you feel about the day? How did you feel about your Swiss experience?
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I came in today just completely coping of like, all right, coming in today, I'm playing Enigma. I expect to be like an all right feel just because of SoCal things. And then it ended up being way better. Like, I knew there'd be a good amount of new, good amount of Riptide. And then they just ended up being like the most things of the room,
Yeah.
which surprised me. And then just turned to Swiss of like, all right, round 1 Riptide. Round 2, Chris on Prism. Round 3, another Riptide. Round 4, Dorinthia.
Yep.
And then round 5, I finally paid my Zen tax against Peter to end Swiss X1.
Yeah. Which is not so bad.
Yeah. And they lost in top A. I'm like, oh my god, there's a chance for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was quite fortunate in that way, because if you had met Peter again in top 8, who knows how it would have gone.
Yeah, our
Because,
Swiss game was close. It got 1-1, but again, Zen can always just do Zen things.
yeah, he was eventually brought 1 versus 1 against Andrew, but Andrew did not make it past semis. So
I would have. I mean, the moment I saw their top 4 matchup of just Kassai or Nu, I'm like, all right, I'll take either.
Yeah, they both have to swing small weapons and really like work to get for those breakpoints, basically.
Yeah, it's really stressful on just like their hand economy in general to try and break through a board setup. It's even worse the moment just like, all right, they have to break through my card block in hand. They have to break through a D-React in Arsenal, and it just adds up over time.
Yeah, they're classes that generally have to work for the action points by leaning on like generics. Like you see Scar for a Scar included from some new lists, some Hurl, using their own levels to get wider, looking for a scrap. Warrior doesn't have that though.
I mean, they have a little of like, especially Kassai, just because they have both the swords to swing with. Colin didn't really get to do that much that game of just like that opportunity. They're just swinging multiple swords with a threat of a pump behind it, or swing sword, get blocked, and then go, all right, play like CNC.
Yeah.
Not to have that one turn where it was just off the agility, double CNC. I'm like, well, if this game was not currently like 41 to 10,
exactly.
this would be a lot worse for me right now.
Yeah, he definitely had like a rough start with it, because you didn't allow him to filter at all, and we knew from looking at his hand he had 2 Fate for Scene and like no source of go again and 2 blue reactions. So he had it hard to start off with. So he really had to work to like make Dynamos worth it.
Yeah, we
considering
talked
that-
about it a lot after, just like, he got to do it one time during the game of like, haha, you're swinging with 1 aura, Steel Blade Shunt, pop it, and then he just never really got to do that. Because, yeah, he was stuck on just those Fates and Sinks.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have all that many shunts in his list. Like, he's not running like a whole 6 in like blues and reds, so he has to make them count and really like take your mirror guys away.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can do that. We had quite an exciting top 8 in 7 unique heroes, 2 news, but they're on the opposite ends of the bracket. We saw you and Peter had rematches from Swiss. You faced Richard again. Peter faced Andrew again. But we saw a really close game, Andrew versus Peter, in that they both went to 1, and Andrew got to land more disruption and stuff like that. And I would presume your rematch into Richard was much of the same from what I saw in Swiss.
To give Richard credit,
Okay.
compared to our Swiss game, he at least dealt damage to me in our top 8.
Yeah.
and that's an accomplishment for Dorinthia in that matchup.
Yeah. How much life did he carve off you in the end?
We don't talk about that.
Okay. Okay. You don't need to disclose it. Okay. People's like pride are on the line. Okay. And you had a match into Eugene, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was really funny because I got to sit down and watch Eugene's top 8 game play out on the side, just because my game ended like pretty quickly. And to give Eugene a lot of credit, he played a really exhausting game in the Grand. I almost wish that game was on stream for just how crazy it got towards.
Yeah, that end state was pretty insane in that all 3 wildfires were on the table in addition to 2 blazing, and Grant had fielded both Oases.
Yeah, the fact that Grant, like, on its face, like, almost pulled through. Like, he's at, I want to say it was, like, 34 health. He had double
Yeah, like
races,
around
the blue,
32, yeah.
And still just got boomed by triple wildfire, double blazing, which, hey, be what it be. Like, it was just a very exciting game. And I know we were talking about a lot mid-game during our match in top 4 of, like, at that point he was exhausted and he was just trying to make plays that just couldn't quite pull through. Like, there was a point where he went through, like, a full complicated sequence, had Wildfire, City and Banish, Lesson and Banish, had all this stuff going on. And when he finally got to, like, the pull the trigger point of, like, all right, what do we actually start playing for damage? He's like, why did I do any of this?
Go through all the mental gymnastics and calculation and think, this isn't going to deal lethal. Why am I bothering? And the stream had a bit of a blip, but we fixed it and came back. But you actually tried to end the match with a pummel on top of your weakest link.
Yeah, when I natty drew just finally a pummel in the game, I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be the first pummel I get to cast all day, and at least it's on stream for lethal.
So the pummel ended stream, and then we had to bring it back. And then in response, Eugene popped Striders to play like an Aether Flare or something.
Yeah, it was Aether Flare coming in for 3 at me. In response to the Aether Flare, pitches his last card in hand to Waning Moon himself for lethal, so I couldn't kill him.
Yeah, he committed Wizard to himself rather than be hit by a pummel and dishonored. Okay. I'm being told we will head to break, so congrats again to Zach here. You get your lovely July medal and an extended art cold foil Arcane Lantern.
All right. Been a moment since I've gone to put on a medal. Been a moment since I've been in the room like this.
Surely you still remember the way to do it. There we go. It's like it was meant to be. Yeah, get it right the round way. All right. Well done, Zach. You now sit at 69 points. And that'll be all for today's stream. Yeah. Today's stream for the Arcane Games and Events July Open. Thank you for tuning in, and take care.